Up and going, I'm about to open up the rectum. Here we go. All right, we got our feed. Good morning, everybody. I call to order the regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors for Solterra Resort Community Development Districts. Today is December 5th, approximately 10:06 a.m. Take a roll call. Members of the board, you have Supervisor Heim.
Present.
Supervisor Boissard. Supervisor Nealon. And Supervisor Winter, all present. Members of staff, Joe Bones with Artemis, Ryan Mendes with Rosetta, Pete Whitman, Yellowstone. We have Savannah Hancock with Kowinski, representing your council, Greg Woodcock on the call, your district engineer. And members of the audience, and Matt with our aquatics. Let's jump into audience comments. Anything for audience comments today on the agenda items? Anything online? Anybody online have any comments? You guys a minute to situate your audio.
I need to go my little,
Few fingers to scroll up and down. It's dark. Oh, bear with me. While we wait for some audience comments. There we go.
nice.
Let there be light.
I have one.
Good. And then there are two tabs, so I'll tell you when to switch over. All right. No audience comments at this time. Jump into, so before we do general updates, you want to fill the in on this one?
Supervisors, now that, Chairman Muir has resigned from the board, we are required to have a chairman appointed, pursuant to your rules of procedure as well as chapter 190 of Florida statute. So before we can really get going in the meeting, we do have to appoint a chair. So we've got a couple options. Brian and I have brainstormed. We think probably the best course of action is to go ahead and consider the applicants for the vacant seats. And then after you consider that, then you can designate officers. So we only have to do that once during the meeting. The other option is we designate officers now. When the applicants come up at the end of the agenda, we would then designate officers for a second time. So just trying to be as efficient as possible.
So we don't have any applicants here.
You can still, because we do have a couple applications, you can still consider them and vote on them to appoint them. And if they're not here, then they just won't be able to participate until they're sworn in.
I mean, personally, if they can come and present themselves to answer questions and speak to as why they want to be a part of the board, I don't feel that it's worth us to consider them.
And that's a board decision. There is no requirement to appoint somebody to the vacant seat. There is nothing in the statutes or in our rules of procedure that says you've got to put somebody in this seat that's vacant. You can let it wait until the election comes up. That seat is.
Motion for the seats, myself as board chair, Supervisor Hyman as vice chair, Nealman Winkler as supervisors.
I second that. So nominate, we have nomination.
So are we, so we're jumping from one thing to the other.
Fast forward.
They got here.
But we have to make a motion.
I think just motion.
No, we have to make a motion regarding the appointments of the boards, the
Board, and if the board just wants to table it, we can just table it unless you want a formal motion.
No.
If the board's desire to table the appointments, and that's.
Okay, so
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Can someone check that with a connect online on that?
We have a Devin, a Chris Danks, and a George on.
Okay, they will not there, even in online.
No, the two applicants are not online that I can see.
Got it.
So we're tabling the
Yeah.
vacant board seat for now.
Like the board seat.
And I,
not just for now. I'd like to just basically get it off our plate and just say that we're agreeing not to appoint any of those people today. Any of the applicants today, if they're not showing and they're not even online, let's go ahead and table it.
yep, And then when the board's ready to have that conversation again, let me know, I'll bring it back to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another month.
Whenever you feel inclined, you say, hey, we want this back on the agenda for consideration and we'll work it. But until then, it will remain off the agenda,
Okay.
tabled until further notice. I do have a motion that I have to read out and we have to finish this one. So we had a nomination for chair for Supervisor Boissard from Supervisor Boissard and nomination for vice chair for Supervisor Pyon. Typically, there are ways to do the voting process. You can also, depending on what the board wants, if they all just want to vote on one or multiple people could put nominations forth. I will leave it at the board's discretion. We did have a second. So, for vice chair, Supervisor Hyman.
And that would mean everyone else on the board, so Supervisor Nealon, the supervisor, whatever, that would be, you all would be assistant secretaries.
Yep.
Just in the board structure.
All right, let's take a vote on that. So we had a second from Supervisor Nealon. All in favor? Opposed?
Well, hold on a second. Is there anybody else?
There can be further discussion.
There could be further discussion.
There can be further,
Yes.
further discussion, please?
Don't take a vote now, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let her just-
Pause. Okay.
And that is actually.
I would like to nominate myself for.
We've got a motion on the table.
So
So let's discuss that. I also do want to point out that one of the applicants has arrived.
I'm like late.
It is a board decision. Do you want to consider this applicant table the current motion?
So, you know, we know each other, we like each other, there's no problem there, but I would say that, and this is kind of my whole thing with all of this. There is the possibility, I had a conversation with Brian Muir. And I think that while there may be, some considerations about not having 5 on the board, I think every single one of us who are on the board presently have a really great working relationship with present management, with each other, in terms of, we don't always agree, but I think that we're all very much together and unified in our vision for the community and what we want to have done. We want progress with responsibility and accountability, and we're all unified in that. And I have to say, I've been on this board for a long time, and ever since they allowed us lowly homeowners to be on the board, and I haven't seen a better version of this board than with Brian Muir as our leader. There is the possibility that he is willing to come back. He is actually willing to come back, I believe. Maybe right this time, right now, between now and the end of the year or the holidays, maybe it's just not exactly the right time. But I would like to leave this seat vacant for him because I think that his loss is significant enough to our board to merit that. With the 4 of us here, I think we're doing really well. I think we're okay for right now. So I would really prefer not to occupy that seat with all due respect. It's just.
And just as a reminder, we have temporarily tabled the motion by Bobby discussing officers. We will go back to that motion once we finish this discussion.
Yes.
So is there any other thoughts on?
I would like to add that, there's been so much change happening in the resort as a whole, from vendors to management companies to district management, and I feel like we're just now starting to get some rhythm, and last month kind of rocked us at our core a little bit with Brian's departure, but I also feel like if there is a possibility that he may want to return, that I too would like to leave that seat open for him, because he really was a take the bull by the horn kind of guy, and was very professional and responsible and dedicated to the community. You know, and in the interim, we have 4 board members, we do have quorum. And that's the important thing, is that we have enough board members that we can have quorum and continue to, you know, conduct the business, while we all hope that, you know, everything that Brian is going through turns out the way we need it to, and give him the grace that he needs to make that decision, because I don't think that he left because he did not want to be a part of this. He left because he had other things that he needed to, you know, focus his mind on. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Comments?
Supervisor Leon.
Well, I respect Brad, great leader. However, we are not running a kingdom here. So it's a democratic process. We have to follow the second decorum here. Just because we like the person, definitely agree. We cannot keep the seat open, in my point of view. One applicant is here, and we respect the applicant, he's also the member of the community, and he also wanted to serve. He also wanted to continue his time. So it's a volunteering position, and we need to respect the process. And as I always said, we are not running a kingdom here. So it is important for us to follow the democratic process. The person is there, we should vote, yes or no.
Supervisor Wilson.
And it sounds like we're gonna be deadlocked at this point, regardless of what my decision is. It sounds like we have 2 members that want to keep the seat open. I'm not opposed either way. The vote and the person, all leaving the seat open at this time. So whether the board's pleasure is.
Well, and I think that I want to add that, you know, whatever person we vote into this seat, that we should all have a unanimous agreement on who we bring in as somebody that we feel is gonna represent the community, both sides of it, the homeowners and short-term rental community. And we're not obligated by any court of statute, correct?
Correct.
To fill this seat today.
And I will also caveat that there is no requirement to have a unanimous vote as well. So if it's 3-1, if it's, you know,
But for
Yeah.
our own working relationship, I think it's important that we all, you know, have a level of agreement about who we decide that we want to vote on to the board.
so is there a motion, or do you want to table it?
I'll make the motion to table it. I would like to give the respect to Mr. Merritt, to Brian Merritt, for the service that he did provide us, and also understanding that the situation he's dealing with right now is extraordinarily sensitive, and to give him the time that he needs to work through that before we give his seat up.
Okay, motion, do we have a second to that motion? Second from Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Opposed?
Yes.
No, for the record, Supervisor Malone opposed. Right. Motion passes. We will be tabling this until further discussion. All right.
Okay, so going back to the other motion, we do have a motion by Bobby to appoint, Supervisor Borstar as chair, Supervisor Hyam as vice chair, and Supervisor Winker and Neelam as assistant secretaries. That was seconded by Supervisor Neelam. Further discussion. Further discussion.
Further discussion on that.
on that motion?
On that.
You can talk about other options, but I would try to limit it to this motion so we can then take a vote and move on or continue with different.
Well, I mean, I feel like I am, and this is nothing against Bobby, but I've already kind of been acting as the chair for a couple meetings because Brian was missing for one, and then last month his, sudden departure. I feel like because of my role as amenity liaison, it's kind of the biggest area of the resort that seems to require the most amount of attention and such going on that, I would be the prime candidate for that. I'm also going to be holding the license for the restaurant and the liquor license. So I think that, again, that kind of is going to end up falling on me as it regards to those things. So I, have been present and able to stay as long as our meetings entail, which I know we're trying to confine them to a more reasonable time frame. That, I'm prepared and ready to, fill in Brian's shoes. And if he were to return, I would be more than happy to pass that back to him if he would like to continue that role.
Any other discussion on this motion?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a who are folks giving it their all in terms of overseeing their respective areas. And I think that both are extraordinarily capable of handling this. I mean, it's really, I don't know. Guys, it's really like in name only kind of thing. All you guys are doing is signing off on paperwork, basically. That's the only additional responsibility. It's a title. I would prefer to see some, and I think it would be a real test of the position, to see if the two people who want to be chair could maybe discuss this among, well, I don't know, I guess they can't, it's gotta be public. And come to a place where they feel that, they can be together on this, one way or the other. One is chair, one is vice chair, or vice versa. So that it doesn't put, Sam or I in a position where we have to take one side over the other. Is it possible for them to discuss this?
So, yeah, this is hypothetically, if Brian were to find his way back here onto the board,
Well,
there would be a permission here if he is
I think, so,
willing.
I go for Brian to be what paid place. I think he'd be the best candidate out of all of us to fill that seat, and if you return to the board tomorrow, he gets,
Okay,
without question. I think Brian is 100% more qualified and a better business operator than I am, and I would have no problem with him returning back to that seat tomorrow, get back.
And this would come back.
Anytime you.
Right, and
Yeah.
great point that the board would bring you back.
Yep.
Anytime somebody's elected, appointed, resigned.
so we need to, reappoint, but it's on the record.
And Tom, the rest of you. If Brian today,
Do you
Has
feel
it
the
happened?
need to me?
no, I think Brian has done economical bias. I miss Brian, I had several conversations with Brian, and same as
After the
Supervisor.
design.
Matthew?
Brian,
That's fair.
just as Supervisor Winkler is saying, that he does intend to return at some point, He's not sure if it's the next month, the month after, or so be it. I haven't cut a time frame, but it's definitely been hard for him to resign from the board and walk away from it.
Well, that's right, and he didn't do it because he was trying to be a
It
part of
wasn't
this.
anything to do with the board, it wasn't anything to do with the serve. He wants to serve us, he wants to serve the people of Solterra, but unfortunately, personal issues need his attention at the moment.
Yeah, I have respected his privacy and thought eventually I've run into him on the streets, like, I think he's what you.
I used to see him jogging up the strip,
Yeah,
actually, when I had conversation with Brian.
And board, just to throw out for the record, we, on the staff level, have a great working relationship with all of you. To Supervisor Winker's point, chair is really just the sign off and obviously would coordinate a little more in between meetings. But the dynamic of your board is very sound, and whoever you appoint to this chair, you're gonna succeed.
So to be clear, I mean, I feel like more than with, not to, throw jabs, but I really feel like, whenever I've called you, whenever there's been something for us to discuss, your door is wide open, you return calls right away. Your communications are always great and wonderful, so it doesn't matter whether you're the chair or you're not the chair, because I'm just a lowly supervisor now.
no,
But I have more communications with you as a lowly supervisor as I did more than when I was chair with previous district management. And the nature of those conversations is entirely different. And it is not combative. It's accommodating and it's with a unified vision. So thank you for that. But I also want, I want to be really clear to people who don't necessarily know what goes on in the background, that that we all have total access with district management. The chair literally has no advantage, and I'm doing little quotation marks for those who can't see. So I want to ask, let's turn the tables around. You've already said that you would give up your seat to Brian
or the chair role if I was
to the chair.
to
That's what I mean by
or be
the
awarded the chair.
Is there, I guess,
Just while we're talking about open availability and stuff, I want to point Joe the same way. Me and Joe recently have had conversations at 1, 2 in the morning about security issues, and even while the man was on vacation,
Yeah,
I talked to that man more while he was on vacation than I have since he's been back. So we had a lot of issues that had to get him out. He was fully open and available, so just to be clear, it's not just Brian Mendes that's available. Joe's the same exact way, his door's open to all of us 24/7.
I think Joe's better.
I do want to just say on the record, we do need to be careful about talking about if we're going to, you can't guarantee that she'll give a position to someone if they'll come back. That is not permissible.
Exactly.
But-
Vote on that. That kind of discussion is not allowed.
It's
It's not legal also, but.
it's running into some ethics
Exactly,
issues.
it's complaint.
So I just want to be very careful with the discussion that's occurring. I'm not super comfortable with it.
Exactly, me too, because that is not legal.
what is not legal?
You can't promise a position, in exchange for somebody coming on to
Yes.
us.
well, no, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that we would give him the chair back to be kept back, but if he came back, we would.
That would be a conversation we would need to have
Yeah.
if and when that occurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Noted.
And honestly, the only reason why the biggest reason why I wanted to say I would be chair is because I know that there's been a meeting or two where you've had to excuse yourself prior to the end will need to be available to sign at the end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't have time restraints with kids or things like that, so I thought,
Yeah.
everybody did have a option for that in terms of, being able to, sit out through the entirety of a meeting and then say and sign documents.
So here's a question further to that. you know, for anybody who does have time constraints as chair and has to leave a meeting early. First of all, there's no additional discretion. I want to be clear to anybody who thinks that, oh, the chair has the discretion to sign off or not to sign off on something, or maybe to drag their feet on signing off on something that they don't necessarily agree with. How we voted, I want to be clear, council, how we voted is mandated that the chair signs off on it on an immediate basis. Is that correct?
That's correct. So when the board gives direction on something and Mary and I go through and draft the document, we send it to Brian's team. Brian sends it through DocuSign. Whoever the chair is will then sign the document, then it goes to the vendor. The only time that something is done outside of the meeting and without board direction, usually, especially out here, is in the event of an emergency. So if a hurricane hits and pulls down all of the trees and you can't get past down the road, you know, there is some authority in our rules of procedure as well as our spending resolution that says the chair and the district manager are authorized to do things in events of emergency.
And if in the event that the chair at that moment in time of an emergency is indisposed, the vice chair.
The vice chair, that it goes down kind of the threshold. So even if the chair leaves the meeting or is sick and is not able to attend, then the vice chair that is here in person would preside over the meeting. In the event that both the chair and the vice chair are disposed of, our rules of procedure then put it down to the assistant secretary. Our rules of procedure also say that the chair can delegate the authority to the district manager to run meetings. And that's normally what happens. Especially with Rosetta, that's what it was with Vesta as well.
Okay, and, so there's no, you know, really, I just, you know, I'm just answering some questions, getting answers to some questions that I just want to be sure that, you know, that people understand that this is, that everyone on this board, I believe, is fully capable of signing their name and is fully capable of carrying out the duties of the chair. And so I'm, you know, if there are two names on the table, that I'm still kind of left in a lurch. So, is there any one of you who wants to acquiesce to the other or wants to?
You don't need to call this motion for a vote and see what happens. And then if it fails, we will do another motion. And if that one fails, we'll do another motion. We can't move on until we take votes and figure out this motion.
Okay, so it's got to be a 3-1. It can't be a 2-2 and then table it for another time. It just has to be.
We can't, the meeting can't go on without a chair.
It'd be
Okay.
great to have a 4-0.
And it would be great to have a 4-0. Is there, can we can't really bring two motions at the same time, like to say, just because it seems like Sam and I are happy to reside in our, in our civil positions. I wouldn't want your task to save my life, Sam. We'd be in a whole lot of trouble.
I don't really.
Bobby, I kind of spoke to why I felt like I would be a good person for the chair. Can you kind of?
Yes, I've been on the board for 4 years, just about 4 years. I spend ample amounts of time working with Joe, working with other maintenance staff to get stuff organized, trash cleanup, stuff around the neighborhood. I probably spend easily 20 physical hours working in security and Joe and other aspects of the property, trying to get things sorted out. There's been trash dumped recently. I go pick up with my pickup truck, get rid of it, when maintenance can't do it. I do go and spend an ample amount of time in the community out taking complaints with parking issues. I get called at 2 a.m. about security issues, controls, rovers, directing people who talk to on the property notes, working with the sheriff's office.
Sounds like you have more than enough on your plate.
Yeah. That's my life, chaos. I don't sleep.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt, Bobby, that, you know, you're putting in and have put in for the last 4 years. You've put in an extraordinary effort on behalf of the community. It's true. And similarly, Debbie,
I think Bobby
even
kind of got
before,
those boots on the ground for sure.
yeah, Debbie, you know, Debbie has, even before she was on the board, you know, on the WhatsApp chat, pre-hurricane, putting it out there to people, hey, if you're not here, if you're not on premises and you need furniture put away. I remember when I was doing it at first, when I first moved in here, Debbie was the first one to roll up her sleeves and say, I'll come out and help you. And we were literally moving furniture on people's patios, off people's patios and into the homes, and then going in afterwards to videotape their premises to make sure that there was no damage, so that people who were in the UK or Canada or wherever they might be. So we're all, and the work that she does here in the amenities is constant and ongoing. And, you know, having a great working relationship with management is an imperative. And I think everybody here is ticking that box. So like I said, it puts us in a really weird and awkward situation. At least I feel like it's an awkward situation. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, let's take a vote. Let's see where we land. I think.
Well, but we're voting on one versus
So-
the other, so.
Not
So
necessarily.
this is a different slate of officers. So this current state slate that's in this,
Well, can we first make it easy and just say Sam and I are gonna be the
Assistant secretaries.
assistant secretaries? Because that, I think we're all agreed on, is that correct, Sam?
And when I have enough, I have enough vice chair positions.
Okay, great. So Sam and, can I motion that Sam and I?
we have a motion on the table that does outline it.
Okay, but now it's just between Bobby's
The
and,
current motion is, Supervisor Bluestar is chair, Supervisor Time is vice chair, Supervisor Nealon and Luther is assistant secretaries.
and there's no way we can table this until
No.
line comes back.
And we have to act on it before we can even continue the meeting.
It.
Can we take a poll on public?
We have to we've got to take a vote on this, and if it doesn't pass, we'll move on to another motion.
Yeah, we'll continue the conversation.
Supervisor Nealon, yes, sir.
Yes, one comment. He's been long serving in the board. I think my point of view, and we all agreed that like it's a simple title, right? Why can't we have him? For some time, because he's been the longest serving board member. That's how I look at it. It's as simple as that. That's all.
Yeah, let's take a vote. If it fails, we continue the discussion, but let's see where we're at. And, you know, if we're not where we need to be, we will continue on. This shouldn't be too heavy. Let's all work together. So motion from Supervisor Broussard, second from Supervisor Nealon, naming Supervisor Broussard chair and Supervisor Ryan vice chair. All in favor? Two votes looking to Supervisor Meeker and Supervisor Ryan for your votes.
And
And officers can be reorganized at any point in time, but we do have to have a chair that is on the board currently for the rules and for status.
Again, if you're not comfortable, we can continue discussion. Let's be mindful of the efficiency of the meeting, but yeah, we're just taking a vote right now. So we have two.
well, it's taken a vote, but it's, you know, betrayal versus betrayal.
I would look at it that way.
Well, I
Keep
don't
in
know,
mind
I
that
just feel like this is not the position I want to be in.
Sure.
This is not a cut and dry sort of, you know,
Yeah, that's
I totally empathize with that,
because a
I
vote for
understand.
Bobby in this case is a vote against Debbie, and a vote for Debbie is a vote against Bobby. And, you know,
I know, I understand.
can I,
At the end of the day, this is not personal thing, so vote for what's in your. feels right.
But that's,
No one's got having a personal feeling.
right, but I can't.
No, and I think that everybody is laser focused on the transition and the opening of the cafe. And I think that if we do have things that come up that are kind of falling into that emergent situation as it relates to the cafe, that I might be the best person as liaison for the amenities and holding the food and beverage license and the liquor license to be the one that would be looking at these things for.
We're gonna talk about the different roles under that agreement and how we operate going forward once it is in place.
Can we visit that first?
No.
No, we have to.
No,
we have
no,
to-
I mean, that's why I'm kind of,
Let's finish the vote if we can.
Okay.
If it's a 2-2, if it's a 3-1, let's see where we land. So,
So let's just for argument's sake, make it a 2-2 and see.
so you're voting opposed, Supervisor Winker, Supervisor Heim, what do you vote?
I'm voting opposed to.
To the current motion. So just the current motion. All right, so we currently have the 2-2, opposed to Supervisor Ryan and Supervisor Winker. Okay, if I may, Bobby, would you have any objection to flipping your motion? So you're vice chair, Supervisor Ryan, chair.
I think if we don't do that, we're gonna be stuck here all day. I don't know that we actually have a choice in this matter at this point. There's 4 of us and it's 2-2 right now and I don't.
It's my
And can we also say that, you know, I know that we can't make any promises here,
Yes,
but once the cafe is opened, and I'm sure that our considerations, you know, because the holidays will be passed, and we'll be coming into the spring, summer, when we know that the gate is gonna take the forefront again. Would you be willing to acquiesce your seat, Debbie?
We can't have,
We
no.
can't have,
we
no.
can't have that. We're not, no, we're gonna talk about officers now. If at a future date, a supervisor wants to bring a request up that says, hey, can we redesignate officers? we can.
it's not, I think that we got more down here.
Yeah.
you can also vote at any meeting, in terms of
Yes.
the chair. Yeah, you can always make these nominations.
You can make these changes at another meeting. We can't promise things in the future. We can't talk about what, okay, we're gonna get for January 1st and then we can't have that conversation.
No, I understand. But I'm just taking this whole situation very seriously, and when the reality of the fact that that license was gonna fall under my lap and be in my name, that I really,
Well, it's in Solterra's name.
but I'm the person linked to it, right?
You,
No.
it's linked to the district.
Well, I had to go get FBI fingerprint for it, nobody else had to, so.
Let's try to consolidate this. So
Okay.
are we in favor?
Yeah, at this point, I don't really see any other way that this meeting down the line without flipping it, to be honest.
Are you comfortable with living here?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a question.
that's gonna be the only way that we proceed with business. We've been sitting here wasting that whole day away, so. And our respect for everyone on the board and respect for our vendors. Yeah, if that's the only way that we, then, yeah.
Bob, you have my word of honor.
No,
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 I'm
we're
sorry.
not honoring. All right, so can I take a motion from you, Supervisor Boissard?
I'll motion to appoint Supervisor Hyman as chair at this time, myself as vice chair, Supervisor Nealon and Winker, sorry.
It's okay. It's,
As
That's it.
assistant supervisors.
Okay. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second, then.
Supervisor Ryan, all in favor?
I,
Opposed?
no.
3-1, Supervisor Nealon opposed. All right, we do have a majority votes. We will make those changes. Supervisor Boissard motion, second by Supervisor Ryan. With the 3, chair will be Supervisor Chair Ryan and Vice Chair Boissard. Okay, and I got some quick notes before we move on. Chair. And Vice Chair. And then everybody else will be down to the assistant secretary, so.
And I know prior to going forward with them other business, can we get from our vendors so we can get them an idea?
Yes, let's get,
Thank you. I
let's get
agree.
this, all right.
Driving south, it's making a lot of sense.
Landscape maintenance, so I got a couple notes, we got Pete here with Yellowstone, so, reviewing, let's take a look at tab 6. Apologies, we put it on the wrong tab in the agenda. Tab 6 outlines, I have reached out to Pete to request a revised scope to where we currently are for landscaping, because our scope was basically out of date. So we're utilizing this to give us an idea of where we should be before we continue our efforts to the formal RFP. So the current proposed annual budget behind tab 6 is at $193,992. Your current budget is $250,000. So you know, this is roughly 56 and some change below your budget. So that's a good thing. And this term outlines from November 25th to October 26th. Council did ask if we were to do this temporary agreement that we make the effective date January 1st for cleanup purposes. Throwing that out there for what Supervisor Nealon and I have been working towards the landscape RFP efforts, because that's going to come up later when we discuss Frontscape. Any questions on the current proposed scope? Your vendor's here, he can touch on it.
And can I
Has
just, a
the
couple,
school work changed at all from what it was or?
So it has not changed at all, and so it also, the pricing is the same that it has been for the last couple of years, so we're not increasing the price, we're basically keeping it exactly the same. So Brian approached me because the agreements had been addendums and addendums and addendums as the place has grown, and it was just sloppy, messy, we needed it all cleaned up into one that encompasses everything, but I basically took the original scope, the original 2016 contract, and put it in there in a frequency chart, so you guys can see exactly what we're doing, so it's clean.
I'm looking to return the contract effective January 1st, Yellowstone for $193,992.
All right, did you want some comments before that?
get a second first and then I'll.
Okay. Second from Supervisor Winker.
Just a couple comments, supervisors. One, for services such as this, once it goes over an annual contract for your base services, which is outlined in this scope, if it goes over $195,000, we do have to do a public bid. So this is right under that threshold. If there's an increase in the future for another fiscal year, if it trips that threshold, we will have to go out to public bid. Question for you. Is this pricing through October of 26 or October of 27?
I can't remember how it's lined out in there, it was basically a 12-month agreement.
Okay, okay,
Yep,
okay.
And
it's basically a 30-day contract, like any of the contracts, and it would be under your terms and your headers and all the terms.
Our standard contract, 30-day out.
And is this all inclusive, or are we gonna see additional, oh, well, we're doing this and that wasn't in the contract, and we're doing that and it wasn't in the contract?
So the only thing that's in addition, and obviously these are big amounts, is pine straw, is mulching, that's gonna be an addition. So you can bid out those services. Brian and I talked, you know, it's smart of you to have some of these services outside the contract, because it gives you the ability to go with another vendor for saving purposes. Then palm tree trimming, that would be an additional aspect that you would want to bid out, like you have done in the past in some
There's
cases.
the oak trees.
Oak
and
trees.
The antibiotics for the trees.
Yep.
So there are.
So
quite
did
a
that
few
put us
things.
over, are the additional?
No,
things
so
part of
it's your base, it's your base contract, and then any additional services on top of that are in there in silo.
And I would just say, like, we have over 150 contracts, and like, this is the very standard, where you have your mowing, your trimming, your spraying, your fertilization and chemical treatments. You have your irrigation inspections and your annuals. A lot of folks like leaving out the mulch, the tree trimming and the palms, because sometimes you don't need to do those services. And we hate to see customers just pay for them on a monthly basis when, hey, maybe you don't need to do a full mulch next year. But I like to look at it that way also.
Page 11, team, you'll see the calendar. To Pete's point, this is a very standard landscape agreement. It has your pruning, lift, tree lift.
We build separate also.
Yeah, and that's very normal as well. Most of my properties actually bid out mulching and pruning, of that kind, the arbitrary aspect.
So we still do the lower pruning, so like when we find a lower pole prune that we can reach from the ground with pole saw, we take care of that. And like the team this week, you may have seen them, we got the front stuck and some of the sugar stand, we were elevating the oak trees. So we were getting them to the scope. I go.
Very standard scope.
And I
Very standard scope.
compared it to our other, agreements that I have in other districts, and it is substantially the same as other scopes for Rosetta contracts as well as other, contracts that I have with other district managers.
That's right. So this gets us through the threshold. Remember, we're cleaning up our contracts. While we're doing that, we get some time off something that we can legally look at and hold accountability on all fronts. And it buys us time for the formal RFP process.
So they say, so we didn't really bid for this.
What was that?
Did you-
We did not bid, no. We worked with the contractor to see where we were at because we had something so outdated. This is where we're at.
And if the board wants to go through a formal bid process, we absolutely can. It's, if you do the formal bid, that's for things over 195 and being this close to the threshold. If you want to get more bids, I would recommend doing a formal bid because all it takes is one person coming back over that number. And it would be similar to like when we bid out our maintenance services or our amenity management services last summer, to where it's a sealed bid, all of your proposers come in, it's a formalized packet that they have to go through, do site visits and submit a full proposal, but it takes a little while, right? It takes a few months to do at least.
And there's a pretty good cost associated with it.
So
Yeah.
we can absolutely do that if the board wants to.
And my point is like, we are always working with, we're trying to work with what is the low hanging fruit rather than going out and finding it out. Because we don't know the difference, we don't know the variance, we don't know what best we can get from other people. It's always good to have some multiple ways to see that like who is doing what. But it's not that everything is not doing a good job, but so far, I give it 50%. A 5 out of 10, can be my personal point, but even I drive around. I think this requires, if we call this as a true 5-star resort, I don't think so we are there yet in terms of landscaping. Even for the entrance itself, it requires a little more, facelift. Sure. I know we're all working, but not really yet. However, when it comes to the bidding, the quotations, I think we need to know what is out there rather than like sticking to what we have. That's my point of view. But yeah, I know about the pricing, as you mentioned, like 185 or more, they are lower than we do that. I think they are trying to come within that. So this way we don't really need to go through this. So if we agree to go ahead with the Riverstone, this contract, this agreement, is for 12 months.
Correct.
So the way I would draft it, I draft your contracts to line up with your fiscal year. So if there are any renewals that come up, it's attached to your budget year. So how I would draft this would be through September 30th of 2026. So it would start January 1st, the new terms with this scope. And it would go for those first 9 months of the year. And so if in those 9 months, we want to go through a formal bid process, we absolutely can. Or if there's a renewal, we can also consider that, but keep in mind, if it goes up, $1,800, we're going to have to do a formal bid.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few things to say. Number one, it's a 12-month contract, but we always have a 30-day. Number two, there's nothing that even mid-contract that precludes us coming up for our RFP if we find that we want to pursue that avenue. And number three, I believe that the fish stinks from the head down. And our issues in the past, I believe, are directly related to our former district and amenities management, who were directing the orders to everybody, no matter what we voted on here, They were basically taking their direction from previous management, whether it's landscape, Yellowstone, or security, FTI. So I think that we have to clear the slate, refresh our cache, clear out cache, so to speak, and just say, you know what, here we are. We have new management, new district management, new amenities management, overseeing all of this. And everybody is in a much more cooperative and happy place. So I think everyone knows that we're all here for the good of the community now. And everybody needs to realign their previous viewpoints based on where we are going forward. I've been very happy being the landscape liaison. I've been very happy with the responsiveness of Yellowstone, with their care and consideration about the plant matter, with their input, with their installations and everything else. As far as the RFP is concerned, it is a costly process, and while we don't have the RFP going out, that in to itself will cost us money. But further to your point, they could raise it again, or they maybe not if they feel like they're in a more competitive situation. But when we put things out to RFP for district management, who do we have to look to as professionals in our corner to say, well, Vesta, how does your contract compare with other district management? And of course, they're going to say, oh, well, we look great. And the same thing for council, right? You're going to say, oh, yeah. So but when it comes to something like landscape, we have three groups here. We've got Artemis, we have Rosetta, and Savannah, we have you. To say we have very, very deep relationships. We have a number of other communities that we manage, and you guys can look and see and say, okay, are they doing a good job? Are they not doing a good job? Are they competitive? Are they not competitive? So we have to look to you based on what does an RFP cost us if we were to.
It's gonna depend. I mean, you have to pay for advertising, legal's gonna put together the actual formal packet for the project manual.
We actually, we would need to go through and update it. We did this exercise and considered this exercise, I believe it was in 2023. It was right after I started at the firm. So we do have a rough draft. I've done number 8 landscape RFPs with Rosetta this year. So I've worked with their landscape team to create the scopes and add them into the packets. So there is a cost associated with it. If after this 12 months, if they have any type of an increase, I would have a hunch that we would trip that threshold anyway. So it is, my recommendation for the board, because legally it takes some time, right? You have to notice for a certain number of days. That it's better to get ahead of the ball, even if you stay with the same vendor, if it goes over that number and it's not in an normal renewal, you've got to.
I mean, I think it's apparent that, we're gonna approve this, because, what are we gonna do, right? But also personally, professionally, I'm pleased with the direction that you're going in under the advisement that you're getting from current management. And, so, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've got plenty of other things to handle. But also I think there's something else coming up under the agenda to kind of give us a little assist with all of the landscaping stuff. So I'm perfectly happy with it.
Let me make some quick comments. So this is operationally where we've been operating under. Pete has been phenomenal to work with. Thank you for your responsiveness. What you're seeing was a request from the vendor. It's not like they just put this together. And I am fully intended to have a landscape RFP in this fiscal year. And Pete knows this. We've talked about it. They're going to be bidding on it as well. But because we haven't done this exercise in a little bit, it's gonna be good for us to see where we're at. And as well as like we had a conversation in our last meeting, we're trying to put together a scope specific to Solterra, right? So I want to put together a 20-year plan that you will be able to utilize forever. You know, whenever you want to do an RFP, this is our scope. It's not determined by the vendor. So we should be doing this exercise, and I fully intend to do it with board support, of course. This is just temporary. Supervisor Nealon and I were, speaking on this and brainstorming. And right now it's difficult, to Pete's point, because there's so many stitch up addendums here and there. We actually don't, your contracted amount on file is 117,000. We're getting billed for 193. So we need something updated just so we can be on the same page. That's all this is, to get us through the process of it.
And this is only for 9 months. I mean, we can do it for days, we can RFP that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So just so that I understand, what we're looking at here is basically bringing the original contract from 2016 plus all of the addendums all together in one document and one scope of practice.
I'll
correct?
draft, after, if this is approved, I will go back, and I will draft an updated agreement that incorporates this scope, this project, as well as all of the legislative updates and requirements for local governments that have occurred. They're kind of piecemeal throughout all of your agendas into one place, so you have one document to work off of for the next 9
So
months.
this is pretty much what that would look like in
That's right.
terms of scope of work.
Yeah.
And assuming that we didn't have to go out to public bid, then the risk we take is that all of them come back higher than this.
Correct.
And then it ends up costing us more money. But I also want to confirm that if we're gonna be doing major tree work or new projects, are we gonna put them out to bid?
We are.
Okay,
Yeah, so we've spoken to
I'm-
Pete.
So the
I'm
most will
supportive
be,
of this.
those will be formal, if there's like a facelift that you all wanna do, those don't have to be formally bid unless they're a really high dollar number. I rarely see them go that high for, like a
Yeah,
landscaping refresh or a big tree
Yeah.
project, so they'll be bid out, but not formally. I just wanna make sure that that's
Yeah.
clear on the record.
yes.
This
Kind
is
of like
clean.
what we did with the planter plants and
Yeah,
things, and we
yeah.
went out to different places and priced things up and said, this is what's best for us,
Right.
The
right?
landscape liaison saved me $2,000 last summer. Let's see
Yeah,
what she can do with
okay.
that.
Okay, now I'm good.
All right, so
The
that's,
balance starting to look good, by the way.
so we did have a motion from Supervisor Boissard, second by Supervisor Winker, directing staff to make a formal agreement for our current landscape services. All in favor?
Hi,
Opposed?
A quick comment about this mulching and contouring that we got to go for the bidding separate here. How would we do this, the mulching and contouring?
Yeah, so the mulch is, it's actually in your budget as miscellaneous. So you usually have a separate line item that annually, mulch usually goes down before, right before Christmas and before spring or after spring.
It depends if you want to do it 2 times per year, but with the pine straw, it's kind of recommended to do it 2 times per year.
Right.
If you want to hit it 6 months down the road, so it would be like May-ish.
Okay.
We did it in November.
So it's an annual a la carte option that wards will opt into, and then the pruning, same thing. It's usually an annual job where you'll have a vendor that specializes in arbor care come in, look at all your trees and give you a price for your 600 trees.
I think we discussed quite a bit on the mulching, it wasn't mulching that last three session. We came here on last time.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, let's finish this motion and then let's see where we're at with the motion.
Okay, and also contouring also will be bidding, not these guys are doing it, but someone else will be doing it.
We're gonna bid out the palm pruning. So after we situate our landscape situation, I plan on, usually prunings in September, or not, before spring, right?
Yeah, you want to do it before the hurricane season, so you want to time it with when the seed pods are being pushed from the palms, which is typically the end of May, which times right with before hurricane season. So you probably have bids at your May meeting at the very least.
Yeah, so we'll probably start that bid process in late March, April to get pruning. And I saw those oaks driving in. I see what you're saying. They need some pruning.
Yeah.
And even if they're in the right of way, which Greg did some research on, the maintenance is probably gonna fall on us to trim them. So, we'll include those as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good. I'm, okay,
you're in favor? Okay.
Can I
Opposed?
add something about the oak trees?
Please.
Quick?
Yeah,
Back in January or February, we did some of the oak trimming, right? And didn't we decide that we were gonna break them down into groups and do
A third
a third every year because they needed to be done approximately every 3 years?
Yeah, just, it keeps
Okay.
the cost down and.
Yeah.
Do it every 3 years, so basically you do a section.
So we could do, break the resort down into like thirds and just have them on regular rotation. Okay. I don't know where the street Sam is talking about are located and where they fall into that.
And we'll do like up over roadways like 12 feet and over sidewalks 8 to 10 feet, so our teams have been started working on that, just that's included in our contract.
Okay.
For the.
Yes, the major, the canopy spread
That
thing.
crowning and taking
Yeah.
it and.
Let's catch up on the pine straw. So it looks like we resumed on 12/4, which was yesterday. How's the main CDD Boulevard
So
stretch?
there's a few pockets and roundabouts that are not completed with the machine. I was told is here today.
Okay.
We're here currently finishing up a little bit of roundabouts, but the main entryways, full drag down the boulevard, all completed, and some of the parts you can see on the boulevard are completed, but I noticed a couple roundabouts.
So when you walk down the boulevard and on a couple of the side streets where there's a lot of those coochie palms that have kind of raised the level of the bed up, the straw is not staying up there and it keeps falling down into the sidewalk. Is there a fix for that?
Yeah, so what, we were talking about Karen and I this morning, is there was some stuff, whether it was weather, whether it was kids, some of the bikes people are on are pulling some of it out. I'm gonna instruct my team to get it all loaded back in, but you can actually take an edger, it's a metal edger, and it tucks it into the bed.
Okay.
You may have seen the vendors doing that when they installed it, but I'm gonna instruct them.
They just throw it down.
They just kind of threw it down.
Yeah, so I'll make sure we can get it all pumped in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
And just an observation.
And then, what are your thoughts on the clubhouse enhancement? I know we're entertaining the consulting, so you wanted to wait.
I don't think I want to wait. I don't think it looks terribly bad out there. I think I want just a blueprint of what the big picture is going to be before we start piecemealing things in.
If anybody
I mean,
wants
it's
to
gonna
take a
take a
picture
while.
and look at those pots that are out there right now, it's freaking awesome. It's so beautiful.
There.
Oh my God.
Put pine tar on it, we're gonna have to take lots out.
It actually looks better than the rendering, doesn't it?
actually looks like. Wow, you see it? That's beautiful. Hey, whoever helped with that, thank you. Good job.
She was the brain,
She was. Now, hey Karen.
I threw the idea and said, here,
Karen is doing
and then
phenomenal.
Karen did it.
Yeah, it was a labor of love, that's for sure. And I wasn't sure, when you do the installation on these things, it doesn't look like what you draw up in the pictures, and I was like, okay, and the plants had sat out for a few days without watering, so I was genuinely concerned. But I'm so elated.
Such a huge improvement.
The only thing is that those 4 pots that were on the peninsulas, the health department came and said, nope, they're too low to the ground, they're gonna leak into the.
We'll have to come up with a new plan.
But we can, I believe, because we've seen other pots, we have to create some sort of, solution for the drainage so that it doesn't even potentially leak into the pool. And that they need to be a little higher so kids can't step in, pick up the dirt or the plants and throw them into the pool. That's a healthcare consideration. But I think after seeing them there and now
We
not seeing them there, I walk in here and I look at it and I'm like, oh.
They look so good.
When we do our pool resurface, whenever that happens, that's something that we could probably look into adding some drainage.
Yes, yeah, so
So-
let's keep that on the forefront of our minds.
That's a great idea.
That, that's something that will add so much to the community. And if you see the picture of the ones that we have out there, I'm sure everybody will agree, it's gorgeous.
Thank you for that. So the pine straw right now is gonna be tabled.
I think so.
So let's, because I know we were trying to coordinate some scheduling, so we'll table it until further notice.
Oh, you need
And
a second order of Pines Grove?
for just the clubhouse,
Oh,
we had to meet with Supervisor Lyons. So right now, we're gonna put a pause because we are considering a lot of things and we'll see where we land with that. Okay. General updates?
Yep, so, like I mentioned earlier, we are working on tree lifting, so we're gonna get stuff over sidewalks, so someone on the bike is walking, it's not gonna whack their head, and then we go up 10 to 12 feet over roadway areas, just some of the minor pruning, that's something that you do in the winter months. So there's no insect activity that could potentially harm the tree, fungal activity, and, so you will see the teams out doing that. Majority of the grass cutbacks have been completed. That's something that we do prior to pine straw going down, so you don't leave all that mess on top of it. We're focused on cleaning up some of the plant material, like removing dead plants, some of the prime lilies, you'll see we've been pruning, taking, they get that little leaf spots on them, they look a little ugly, so we clean those up and have a more formal look. Sounds like the main line shift has been completed. There was you guys were doing a sidewalk here or something?
Oh, Joe, yes.
So we have to shift some irrigation heads. We had to move the main line a little bit to accommodate that. I was told that was completed. Won't bring it to next meeting, but I did work with a hydro seeding vendor that does wildflowers. And I was kind of surprised. I mean, it sounds expensive on the surface, but it's like a third of the price of resodding your ponds. So very cool. I'm happy they do it. I mean, an immense amount of seed varieties. So we'll bring that back to the next meeting and we can talk offline with Karen about it. But I want to make sure we figure out the exact area we want to do it. In our proposal, we put one in there, but if Karen has another pond she would like to do first, we absolutely work with that. I'll discuss with the board.
You were talking about the ponds?
There's some ponds where the ASC really never took when the developer installed the area, and it's just sand. So people sit in their backyards, they're staring at sand. And so whether we do that front side or the back side that's really visible, really, I think it's a site thing. So we want to make sure when people are sitting in their backyards, it's beautiful. So they're gonna hide those seeds, the wildflowers on those pond banks.
Proposed.
Yeah.
Proposed, hasn't been decided yet.
And with the vegetation there, and it's just sand, if we get heavy rain, there's erosion.
Yeah.
He's going, yeah, and then that messes up the pond. He goes and stuff, and then.
Yeah. We've been discussing this for the last 2 months, so it's not a new thing that we've been discussing. It's just kind of coming up with the correct formula and the correct way to land on this.
Rodney, you had,
Yeah, can this, but do you guys think we need to make it, it's like, it's affecting.
So it will need to be cut back from time to time. Like if they get a little bit leggy, like we can come in and knock them back, but they're wildflowers. They're wild. They're wild. We just let them do their thing. But I see on the highways, sometimes they have big sections of them. They'll come mow them back one time and then they rejuvenate. And
nice.
Like that, put them in the medians of highways, it's so pretty.
Yep.
Yeah, a little history on this, folks. Lady Bird Johnson, our our first lady back in the day. I remember those days as a child. But she is the one who initiated this in Texas originally, where wildflowers were introduced through the medians, the roadsides, the sides of the highways to beautify them. And it was such an amazing, it was just overwhelmingly supported on every side of every aisle and every side of everything. And it has just become a mainstay of how things are done in the public domain these days. It's beautiful and it's inexpensive and it helps the bees. It helps, it helps pollination and helps our planet. It helps the beautification and cleans the air. It cleans the air and it helps our values. Which of course.
No, not yet. Not yet. We're gonna consider that. Real quick to keep us on track.
I'll motion to approve proposal 636696.
Oh, there, okay.
$38,083.
Whoa, hold up, let's hold that.
It's a ratification.
Oh, did you?
One that we sent to the ratification.
Oh, we'll get to that. No, it's in ratification.
Oh.
Yeah, so, all right, real quick, I do need to help with this as well. So this is something common that we should have instilled, irrigation repairs. We need to be able to approve irrigation repairs before the meeting and ratify them at the meeting. It's just maintenance repairs. So for pipe breaks, right now what's happening, it sounds like we're waiting for the board to decide and then approve.
So,
We got piles of stuff.
you got the backpacks of Indy.
Okay, all right, well, we'll revisit that, okay, we'll revisit that conversation, we'll operate as we make it done. Nothing else for you?
Just, that we installed the poinsettias in your annual beds, and, we kind of dropped off a couple here, just as a thank you. Something I wanted to mention that we can take offline, and I want to set up a demo for you. There's this company that called Optic Systems, Landscape 360, that can take a digital snapshot of the entire community. I mean, they walk around with cameras and they do drone work, and then they drive a vehicle that takes 360 shots of everything in the community, so it can help you not just with landscaping, but with anything amenity wise. It gives a digital snapshot of your community, and they can set these up on a 6-month basis, an annual basis. I did a demo last week and I was like blown away.
Wow.
So if you go, I want to see what happened to that palm tree a year ago. Zoom in and there's someone walking with a camera and you can look at it. I would love for you to see this demo, and Brian, if you guys want to do it, I'll set it up. This is something you guys can deal with directly if it's something you're interested in, but a lot of communities are adopting this because it gives a better snapshot of what's happening in the community on all aspects. Like that, because it's always before it's what happened. I don't remember. Was that there? Was that
It's
sidewalk
like a
there?
time.
Send me some information, I'd love to look at it.
It's very, what are we gonna use it? It's called Optic Systems Landscape 360. You can look it up, they have really cool stuff, and you can actually set up a demo on your own. If there's a, hey, I wanna do a demo, click the link and choose an availability. I was like blown away.
Optic Systems landscaping.
Optic Systems and Landscape 360.
Landscape 360. Awesome. Pete, thank you so much. Anything else before we wrap you up? Good?
That's it.
Anything else for your landscape team? All right, hearing none. Let's jump into aquatic, no other questions? Good. Let's jump into aquatic maintenance updates. Your aquatic report is on your tablet separate.
I have paper copies too. I
You have paper copies.
Just one of the paper copies?
Yeah.
I thought maybe a little bit later, I think the holiday kind of screwed everything.
Yeah.
Yes, what?
So Matt, turn it over to you. How's our November report?
November was a little bit mixed. I know there's a few ponds in there we've been fighting with for a little while. It's ponds 0 and 4. I'm just kind of sick of fighting them, so when I was out here on Wednesday, I gave them, there's a special product we use for growth like that, this one's right brush at the bottom, and our techs love it. Pick out the bottle, it's like a kid opening up a gift they really want for Christmas, because they love this stuff. I love it. Works very, very well. So we deployed that in those 2 ponds to really get started to do the bottom of them, get that spike brush out of it. And kind of just after reviewing this report and driving around looking at some of the other ponds, and kind of wanted to steer them in the direction of using different products on them, especially before the holidays. You got a lot of advertising sure coming in for rentals and everything. So I'm thinking when he's back here in 2 weeks, I'm just gonna tell him like, hey, just go a little crazy, get this place really turned around right before Christmas and New Year and everything.
Right one.
And the reason for the pictures on the left in August being so much greener than the pictures on the right,
It's
for November, it's
on.
right, exactly. I was gonna say, it still says great, even though it doesn't, but I just want to clarify.
Yeah, it's just-
And it's just because it's the time of
Yeah,
year.
it's almost when, and it hasn't rained me significantly in what, 3 months?
Weeks,
So-
yeah, maybe longer.
Now, some of these like site 5,
Yeah.
the water's like really green.
Yeah, that's that.
that is a type of algae. We keep having to fight it on 5 as well. I did give him a treatment plan to put in on that one specifically. I think, yeah, we So you gotta really send the same guy out here to treat. I've been looking over his logs, and ponds, he said they were using. I'm trying to push him to use some different products, because when I see these photos, he doesn't always see them, because he's used to management boards, but, hey, let's figure it
So
out.
everybody knows, Debbie just pointed out that site 5 is behind Acorn, just so people know what we're referencing on the plan.
Site 6 has progressively declined and we're in the slow season.
Yes, that one, it's got a lot shallower than it looks, so that water, it'll the temperature vary very quickly and grow algae quickly, and it's also just huge, so it's hard to get that product down to the middle. I was talking to our tech, like, do you think it'd be feasible to get a boat in there and spread some? But with the,
Yeah, because can we just skim that stuff off or?
it's, I mean, that would.
You gotta treat it.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
But we could do a boat.
We were thinking about it with most of that bank being sugar sand, I would be afraid of the boat getting stuck in the sand, and not being able to pull it back out. We tried it in another community not far from here, and it took us a while to get that boat out.
I can tell you about that from my experience yesterday.
So we're looking into what we need to do to get 6 looking a little bit better.
What's going on in 9?
Yes, also that was one, I showed him these pictures and said, hey, go crazy on it. Looks like he did just hit it on Wednesday, so it's starting to slowly get better. And now it's super small, so shallow, the product should make it back.
And also you mentioned at the previous, meeting, you mentioned like with the treating the pond, where we do enough water with some different types of fish and,
Yeah, and I think the board had asked, like, hey, let's hold on to that until next year, because I think the fish that we were talking about, the generally aren't available right now. They usually only breed in the warmer months, so I talked to our fish vendors, they're saying hold off till March, so.
Yeah, we agreed, I think that we were gonna
Yeah.
resume this conversation in March, right?
Yes, that and the plants, right?
Yeah, the plans, it's just about it, so.
Yeah.
so this usually obviously because it's a cold, nothing will be.
That would set us up for failure.
Yeah, everything's just gonna die, I don't want you to spend all this money. This die.
Okay,
We'll come back to that in the spring. But yeah, we're just gonna really hit it super hard for days and get it turned around, so.
So for now, you're using the chemicals to kind of.
Yeah, that's how we usually do things, the plants and the fish just kind of help along with that.
so if we put plants and fish in some of these ponds, will it attract some other wildlife then?
Potentially, having fish in ponds does
Like
attract,
the birds?
yeah, attract shorebirds and stuff, there's, having a lot of shorebirds is a good indicator of a healthy pond. The
Okay.
guy, our products director, that's basically how we gave this in. Oh, yes.
Are you still gonna bring us a quote for a fountain to move the water in some of the ponds?
Oh, aerators and fountains.
Areas, yeah, I thought that was included in the March thing, but I can, bring it back next month.
I think it was included in the
We're
March.
gonna wait till March.
Yeah.
It's fine, we can wait till March and look at it all.
Not a problem.
No, I know, you're probably working on pricing, so, you know, whenever you got it, send it over.
If we can have it, in January, I just hate waiting until March because then spring is upon us and even if we vote to approve it, then we're, into April, May, I'd like to just kind of,
See the numbers.
yes, just get ahead of this and.
I'm pretty sure we were talking about pond 27.
27 is,
Right.
that's probably like the
Because
most
of the
feature
people
ponds.
impact if we had. Okay,
So you'll get us an estimate.
Try to get them and Jan, Feb month, so we will get a chance to get it reviewed like a couple of times.
yeah, I think I would like to.
Yeah, I think 27 would be nice, but also I think the largest pond that we have
It's this.
is 6, right?
That's this.
And there are more homes and townhomes that back up to that pond than any of the other ones.
Yeah, 6 is gonna be that one in the spring that I'm gonna say we should put fish in there. I think that initially when I brought it up, want to put plants in there, there are actually enough plants already, so we don't have to plant it, but fish would be another one in there.
Okay, and then there's 19 also. 19 is a pond that has a good number of homes and townhomes backing up to it as well, and it's smaller, so I would think that a smaller pond is gonna cost less. You need like less,
Installation of vegetation.
right,
Yeah,
right, and also, less, whatever, you have to move less water for an aeration.
I see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, so you could get a smaller one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Get a smaller one, test it out and see how it's.
yeah. Let's hit it hard with the chemicals, so we could show up for springtime. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That is my point, that's what I'm about to ask because, I know you mentioned, more reading with the chemical, that's actually a good statement, but because if you put too many chemicals, like, coming March or whenever, you're trying to put the fish or any other plant, they might not take shape because.
Not necessarily. Anything that we're putting directly, that's meant to directly go into the water is algicide. It doesn't generally affect plants. And the plants that we want to put in, we have to, plant anything foliar to them, not only used to really.
So by virtue of treating the ponds, we're not eradicating any marine life.
No, everything is, it's all EPA approved. We underdose for what they even are allowing. So.
Okay.
Matt, sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned something about some putting the organic oils, not like, the non,
Oh, that was, that was for mosquitoes and it's. We can bring that back up in March, but basically, bank your bugs fish are better for mosquitoes than.
Okay.
Well,
Are we considering soft stem rush for the pond banks?
Thoughts that I'm running, I can look into it, I know, I think there's some of them in other ponds, but I was starting to work for pickleweed and golden canna, just because they flower and they're really nice looking.
Do they help filter the water? Yeah, okay. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Then if we can get the quality of water, I mainly like the healthy.
And aesthetics.
Yeah, healthy water. You can't beat that.
And if you can combine it with some flowering plants, then that's.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I was.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
Okay, good for aquatics?
one last question, like, since I was here, I haven't really seen the full scope of your, the yearly maintenance work. Is it possible to, can I get a chance to look at the full scope?
I'll send you their agreement.
Yeah, each month, or then each part, or the season of it. So this way, we get to know.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, the one thing I did also want to mention is while I was here last week doing the inspection, it was also a trash day in the community.
Yeah.
And, so I get it, Polk County doesn't come through with their own trash stuff, so you have a private service. And just what I saw with trash people doing, because I get word from my text that, hey, we're picking up 100 pounds of trash and we're just leaving them up here. Is they're filling up open top trucks and then filling up, filling up, and it's just filling over.
Oh, man.
Flies everywhere. So
What day that was?
it was whatever day I sent it, I believe it was the 26th is when I was here.
That's like a hundred day to happen on the street.
Really?
But
When
that
they
was
start to the overload their truck, and they just blow out and they're not.
And it's all.
Wednesday before Thanksgiving and after the Florida Classic.
Who is responsible for that, like, how do we mitigate that?
That's in each way.
That's it.
Oh, that's not the HY.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's an Artemis customer service.
I'm gonna call it community services, that's all I used to do. So I'll get on call community services and talk about it, see if we can get out of them to start strapping it down, with canvas covers or whatever, to try to.
Or emptying the truck frequently.
Yeah.
But I guess some of it is just the nature of the beast here. People are on vacation, like, just help me, so,
I'm here
lay out what we can do to try.
All right, good. Wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You are free to go. And we appreciate your attendance.
Enjoy the holidays.
Then one question, get those forwards, what we were doing with trail teams.
Yes.
Since I kind of now have an idea of who that is, and kind of, push that over to that, do we need to move those anywhere else? Do you want to feed?
No, that was really the biggest issue right there. Everything else is just we'll get them going in.
Okay.
Those were all very, that's intentional.
Oh, absolutely. I'll send it now as soon as I get to my truck.
You're very well. Thank you. Happy holidays. Good to see you. All right.
Are we going to talk about the front? What we could looked at for the front of the, Of the volleyball court?
I don't think we're.
Oh, I sent it, but it's not part of the,
Yeah, no, we're, and I talked to Vicky, so just good to know, right now, that we're into a maintenance level. We really shouldn't be bringing in, agenda items that come in after the agenda goes out, so we're working with the vendors to get them in that new method.
time frame.
Yeah, 8 days prior. 8 days prior, management team needs all those documents to be able to add it to the agenda.
And that's actually a requirement of Florida statutes, that if it's gonna be on the agenda, it needs to be on the initial agenda published.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're, exceptions, because a lot of changes, transitions, but now we're starting to reach that maintenance level. So look out for that, Supervisor Winker, in the next one. I have those proposals. Let's jump into F&B updates, throwing our team here for updates on licenses.
Okay, so, update as of yesterday, LLP received the signed paperwork from Polk County zoning. So we got that in hand, so that piece is finalized. She was at the Department of Revenue yesterday, and, Brian, that's when we called you, there was a little hiccup about the address. So I did let them know that the address on the application referenced this address, the 5200 Solterra Boulevard. On the resale or tax exemption certificate, it references the Rosetta corporate.
As the custodian of records.
So I let them know that, Rosetta is our custodian of records. She said, it doesn't matter, we have to have the addresses matched. So there was a DR1 form, and I believe Debbie did it. She filled it out yesterday, and we need to sign that.
I need to sign it today.
Oh, yeah, we need to sign that today.
Okay.
So that frees us from the discrepancy of the address. But other than that, we're hopeful that Monday, Megan will be able to go back to the Department of Revenue, get things signed off. And, the last step is she's to receive the temporary license, liquor license, and we can operate under that until the department after inspection.
So this might be an appropriate time, because we were talking, when we get this license, Real Manage loses theirs.
Is that true?
It gets transferred over.
It gets transferred.
They don't issue out a new license, because you already have one on the property. They just transfer over that and like.
So then can they operate under ours until the,
You will have to put in like the party.
so what happens then, I guess is the question.
I was thinking in terms of management, right, because if now where they are the new license holders, does that affect the current provider?
No, and they don't have a license.
So basically what happens is, this is a Solterra, not an individual. So the licenses comes under Solterra. So we need to have some small amendment with Real Manage that like we are going to be, just the, not the lease party, it's more like a management part for a temporary period of time.
So right now, the way their lease agreement is laid out, it is required they get and maintain a license for the area.
Yes.
Meredith and I will need to get with Mr. Perez at, Real Manage and get an amendment.
Yes.
Do you know the date that we're going to get this?
No.
We don't know the date, it's pending, it's kind of a,
She said yesterday, I mean, totally worst case scenario, and it's all in weeks, but it'll definitely be before January.
Okay, so we'll connect with Real Manage early next week and craft an amendment saying, starting at the issuance of Solterra's license.
which could be a couple of days or a week or
Right.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll need to get with Real Manage. I can't speak on behalf of them, but we can inform them what's going on. We will need to amend our current lease agreement because our lease agreement does say you will hold a license on your own for this property. So if they're going to revoke that at the time ours is issued, we'll need to amend that agreement, and Meredith and I can coordinate with Real Manage and Artemis offline to make sure that's all lined up.
Allowing them to operate as a business under our
Yeah,
license
you may
for
need
a
to-
period of up to.
So, yeah, sure.
So, now, I mean, like, at that time, when you're amending the real manage, that is between the Solterra as a CDD
Yes,
and the real manage. Artemis won't come into that, thing, because Artemis is an external party as a
Right.
point of time. So
right,
when you're amending the real manage, so basically you say, hey, listen, and the issuance of this license on the Solterra CDD until the new, Artemis comes into play.
yep,
And in this period, you will be working as a manager rather than a license holder.
and we'll just need to revise their agreement to account for that, and so we'll go ahead and get it drafted up that says, at this point in time, and then we'll just need the specific date from you all whenever that gets issued. If we could be given, just tell us when that's gonna happen, but we will start coordinating with Real Manage today
Okay.
on that, since this could happen at any day.
Yeah, and when we spoke to Maggie, she forwarded ABS, and that's where, obviously the board on this, and she was saying that what she's been saying lately is Orlando's been handling a lot of them. So she thinks probably next week, but because she can't guarantee it's gonna be in Orlando, it can get kicked out to any of the other satellites, Tallahassee, something like that. And then they're the one processing, so because you can't control that, she said worst case weeks, but she said best case next week, so.
Okay,
All right,
all right.
I'll stay in touch. Okay.
Well, one quick thing, so this is only the liquor license, also the distillery license, restaurant license. You get both or only one per month, for the next year?
It's for the liquor license and the food.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
Nice.
and that's how they're doing it side by side, obviously,
Yeah.
when you.
We're in the same building.
Yeah.
Great work, Dennis. Appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions on the updates on licensees, license? Okay, let's jump into the forecast report for F&B 25-26 budgets. And Greg, I'm gonna call you in here. Okay. Let's look at some of these numbers. Would love to see your presentation here. The black folder board is what we're gonna be reviewing right now. Black folder. You got a black folder, so we look at and ours. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to know, so it's all these numbers based on, how they're based on current income. Current tracks.
That's in Artemis, we pay, we fund it, correct, it's not an easy.
So honestly, if you all would like to do this before we get into the budget.
Sure.
If you want me to walk through, I was gonna walk through the agreement today to say, what is Solterra's job is the district, and what is, the responsibility of Artemis, just as we're going through the budgets and things of that nature. I defer to you all of which order you want to take this in.
If you have it pulled up and ready to go, I would say just, yeah.
Okay, is that okay, Fred, with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we've all been working together and doing the best we could to, get this up and running. Meredith and I want to make sure that we as the district is operating within our legal protections under this agreement. To make sure in case we need to amend the agreement to, accomplish whatever the board wants to accomplish, we can do that. So in general, the manager, who is Artemis, has certain responsibilities. They're going to run the cafe, they're making the staffing plans, they're making the management plans, very similar to us contracting with them to run the amenity center. They make their staffing plans, they make their staffing decisions, et cetera. As it relates to the budget, they are responsible for creating their annual plan and annual budget. That will get presented to the board, and within 60 days, the board can either approve it or deny it, give feedback for them to go back and rework it. We are not involved in creating their budget. This is their responsibility. At each meeting, we can request that they come and present a profit and loss, a gain and loss, how they're doing. But we, as the district, will not be managing their budget. We have delegated that to them as the subject matter experts. We have the ability to go in and request to audit their books and monitor what they're doing. I have another district that is highly monetized. They have 3 food and beverage operations. We have the same agreement in place. And what we have there is we've got a supervisor that really likes to be in the weeds with the books. So each month they'll send in their budget update of what's been going on. To see, making sure everything matches up. As the district, one of our responsibilities is to give them the initial $75,000, which is what is known as their minimum fund balance. The minimum fund balance is either that $75,000, or if their monthly budget that we've approved is higher than that number. So say their proposed monthly budget is $80,000 versus 75, we have to make sure that minimum fund balance is at that number, 75,000 or 80,000 or whatever, the higher of the two, if that makes sense. Is that clear? In the event that minimum fund balance drops below the required number, the district is required then to replenish those funds to bring it back up to the minimum fund balance. In an ideal world, they will be operating and making enough money and being able to pay their bills so that they can not come back to the district and ask for more money every month, but it is our responsibility to maintain that minimum fund balance. They have the full authority to, pay operating costs, pay their bills, etc. They're required under the agreement to set up a bank account, and that's how those things are paid. So if they want to set up a debit card, a credit card, etc., with that bank account to help take care of those expenses, they can absolutely do that. If there's a capital expenditure that needs to be made, if there's an emergency, if something happens, they have a certain dollar threshold that they're able to go up to. It is if $5,000 without board approval for capital expenditures, as it's defined in the agreement. If it is an expense for capital expenditures that exceeds $5,000, the district manager and or board chair may approve that, or it can come back to the board. So for example, my other district I was just speaking of that's highly amenitized, last month their pizza oven exploded. That is a big cost, and so they brought it back to the board. Our vendor up there did not make that decision on their own because it was over that dollar threshold. It came back to the board. But I just want to make sure that we understand Artemis, we are leaning on them as subject matter experts to run the cafe. We will be monitoring them. We can audit their books. We can do all of that, but we will not be involved in the day-to-day management, their staffing decisions, etc. If the board wants to be that involved, we absolutely can, but I need to amend this agreement to do that.
No, that is exactly what I envisioned.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good for the clarity, because I can, in the previous day, I think repeatedly, we are involved. I think they lack the knowledge and information, because the previous board meetings and the conference calls, I heard repeatedly that we involve in every aspect of it, which I am damn sure that it is not the case, because I read the agreement, I went back, read it multiple times. We are not involved in day-to-day operations, because you cannot run an organization by every. So very important. So that is a clarity we started up, because this is what I'm looking at since day one, because the previous conversation, the confusion arises because some of us were confused that we are somehow involved in today. It is not the case.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. When it comes to emergency funds, I have a question. The authorization, they can use some of the funds up to 5,000, which is good.
And that is just for capital expenditures, and I can give you that actual specific definition if you give me 1 second. A capital expenditure shall mean any alteration, addition, improvement, repair, replacement, rebuilding, or renovation of the F&B facilities of which cost exceeds the threshold that I mentioned before. And then if they also, if there is an act of God and there's an emergency, they can immediately spend $1,500 without having to come to the board. So say somebody gets struck by lightning, any type of act of God, if a hurricane comes through and busts out window, those types of issues, a fire, they can spend up to $1,500 for acts of God. So you've got capital expenditures up to $5,000 without board approval. Above that, you need DM and or chair approval.
Is that 5,000 per instance or 5,000 per year?
It's per instance.
Okay.
That's all. And we go over that, we definitely like in the agreement that the board
Okay.
use
Okay,
that.
we can do that.
Expenditure, but how much is that emergency?
Well, it's already in, right? Because they can't spend over
Well, but you could approve for the chair.
You, okay.
So we want it to come back. Is
I think it should be a building decision, it's gonna be 5 grand.
the board in agreement with that?
Well, real quick, so we don't get hasty, let's really think this out. So, in,
But a capital expenditure, keep in mind, this is an improvement to the facility. So say you want a new ice machine, say we want a new refrigerator. Not because one is broken, but because we just want a new one, those types of things.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but all of this belongs to the district to begin with, so it's all ours anyway. And for example, how much does a pizza oven cost?
I mean,
Like,
two five.
okay, like if the pizza oven got struck by lightning, obviously we would want to replace the pizza oven as quickly as
That's not-
possible. So.
but you'll lose revenue if you don't.
Because, exactly, so I feel like as it's written is appropriate. I don't think that Greg is gonna go out and start buying new kitchen equipment without consulting with either Artemis or the board
Well,
or.
he can't for the
Yeah,
contract.
so
What you could do, so Supervisor Broussard, I want to see what you're saying. Instead of maybe in or chair, right, district with the approval of district manager and or, maybe it's and chair. So both the DM and the chair would have to be involved.
That would be,
Yeah,
that would be sense.
okay.
It's supervisor, you want me to go with that?
I have no questions about the money part. Say the bank operation, can you explain me the bank operation, basically?
So they, will set up a bank account for operating expenses for the district in the name of the district. And let me pull up that section and I will read it to you. Owner shall establish and or maintain such bank accounts. So we are helping open these operating bank accounts because it's presented treasurer of the district's accounts, so they have to be the signers. And then we put them on there, it's authorized inventory artists, and then they run the bank account. So we still have access to it, and if they have any other books, like if they utilize QuickBooks or any other type of software, we can request, we would like to inspect your books, and within 24 hours, they have to be made available.
Perfect, yeah, that's what I'm confused, because the reason is, they should not have another bank account only by Artemis.
Yeah.
That's why, that's the clarification that I want. It's still on the Vijeta, because Vijeta is the CDD, manager. So you were giving authorization to them for that, the other account, whichever you guys are going to create.
If something were, well, we're gonna have access to whatever accounts
Yeah, yeah.
that the district owns, but if something were to happen, then yes, they would have to contact us and the chair to be able to make any approvals. So pizza Hut goes out,
No, I mean, so I'm asking about bank operations, especially banks always would be under the district manager. You can give authorization to any of the vendors, like in this case, there can be, the Artemis, but they cannot open an independent account under the Solterra, something like
that
that.
is definitely what I'm under the assumption of.
Yeah, that's the clarity that I want.
We, as the CDD custodian director, we need to have
Yes.
all.
Would you, I can read, I can read verbatim what this section says. So it says, owner shall establish, we are the owner, the district is the owner. And or maintain such bank account or other deposit accounts as owner and managers that shall mutually agree are necessary for the efficient operation of the F&B facilities. This is what's known as the F&B operating accounts. Owner shall control the flow of funds received and dispersed in connection with such operation in its name at a bank or other financial institution mutually agreed on by the parties. The F&B facilities operating accounts and any operating accounts for the district's amenity facilities, which manager, Artemis, operates under a separate agreement shall be separate accounts. You can never commingle these accounts. Owners and managers designees, as approved by the owner, the district, shall be the only parties authorized to draw upon the F&B facilities operating accounts. So that makes sure that Artemis can never commingle if they're an assigner on another amenity, center account. That can never be commingled with the F&B facility account. And we also will always be able to see this account on the capital needs account.
Yes. So basically, that account belongs to FNB and also created by the Vijeta, given authorization to them, so they can operate seamlessly.
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, we are clear on that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And without bankrolling the whole thing, there wouldn't even be a reason for them to hold this account, right?
Well, this is a standalone account. This is gonna be the F&B facility account. No other transactions for anything outside the cafe are gonna happen.
Okay.
So about the replenishment, 75,000, 85,000, is that a range or?
So we're required to have a minimum fund balance in that operating account. The agreement says that it's the higher of two things, either $75,000 or the projected, like in their budget, whatever their monthly budget is. If it is higher than $75,000, we go with that monthly budget. If it happens that the minimum fund balance drops below whatever that threshold is, whether it's your monthly budget or the $75,000, the district then has to replenish it. I've talked with Brian, and something that we have that's useful at some of our other districts that have this is that there'll be a line item that shows, okay, we funded it with this initial $75,000. 2 months later, they came and asked for another 10. Okay, now we put 85 into it. Okay, 3 months later, they asked for another 5. Okay, now we put 75 plus 15 in it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so we can track how much is going in it, but yes, if it ever drops below that threshold, we're notified and we are required within 5 days to bring it back up to the minimum fund balance.
In the contract that you sent me, there's a thing about loss.
Yeah.
And if a loss shall be incurred, that there would be a.
Yes, if there's different thresholds for losses, that if that loss threshold is triggered, they're actually required to pay us a percentage of that. There's an application in the agreement. If you lose $50,000, do the math, and it's around $15,000 of payment to the district for that loss. That Artemis will be required to pay us.
And I got some projections for you. I was running some numbers, working with REG. He had put our standard operating monthly at 30,000 was the first projection.
I do have a couple questions about the 90,000 budget.
Yeah, so hear me out on this one. So if we had to cover for the rest of the year, starting January 1st, in our budget to fulfill $30,000 a month of operating expense, it would be 240,000. And I have where we would pull from the budget to be able to fund that. So at least for our first year, within our budget that we currently have, we'll be able to fund this new venture, let's say. And Supervisor Nealon, I'll share with you these stats that I have.
Is that 30,000 that you came up based on the 90,000?
No, so Greg had originally reached out to us in coordination effort. He's saying, hey, we need to open up an account like this. Here's the thoughts. Here's what we would need to operate. So we're brainstorming, and I'm sure he's going to get into that in his presentation. But financially, if you need it, we could find 240,000 in our current budget.
So, just a one small question there. So this 75,000 is additional to 90,000 will be given to the FNB.
Well, it's good. So we budgeted 70,000. So technically, we're going to hand over 75 for the operating account, and that's what they'll work.
That's it.
That's it. Unless it drops down, then we got to go fishing.
In those cases, nobody wants it to drop below that. Nobody wants the district to have to inject a ton of cash aside from the 75. In the event that it's month after month that we're getting, if there's 3 months in a row where they're like, we need another $75,000, I think the board will need to evaluate, the needs for
Well, realistically, like first month with that, cashing.
Oh, yeah. And once that account is established,
But initial
Right.
food purchase, alcohol purchase.
We'll put in that,
Yeah,
that's
that's
if
the
you have,
everything in there initially.
and so that's, but we do have a mechanism for that, and like all of our agreements, we do have termination provisions as well.
So, I hope this is the last question, about the $5 million and $1,500, so. $5,000, you said, no need of,
Capital expenditures.
yeah, cabinet, no need of more approval.
So below $5,000, they're allowed to do it on their own. 5,000 and up, I've gotten more direction to amend the agreement with Artemis's sign off to require both the district manager and chair approval rather than just one of them. And then if they don't agree on that, it can then come to the board.
A small question there about the capital expenditure. Is it possible to have a line where they're given? They can go to the district manager, at least like in the document, because obviously they are the custodians of the entire account, right? So,
Right.
The reason why I'm saying this is, it is good to have a second person, because the district guy is the CDD manager. If not, they can come to, for every small item to the board or chairman or anyone, they can at least talk to the CDD manager, sorry, the district manager. So this way, another person know that what is this for. So whenever we get the budget in monthly or bi-weekly, we know we can easily catch, right, out of $5,000, something happened, use 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is. So can put a clarity, just without ambiguity.
So under $5,000, you
Review.
and do you want him to have the approval authority or just say it has to be presented to the district manager?
And we have to present.
Okay. So I will frame it as something, we can put a time limit on it, within 24, 48 hours, within expending a capital expenditure under $5,000, it must be presented to the district manager. Okay.
And then,
I have a question for Brian.
yes.
As well as additional work, the additional costs are,
No, I'll be, no, you're not gonna get charged anything extra.
He's on.
Yeah.
I promise that he can take a lot of load if you want charges anything.
That's it, and I might get freebies. But what's it called? Yeah, this is the work that Supervisor Nealon and I are doing. Believe it or not, it's causing more efficiency in my future. So I'm more than happy to take on this venture, get all of our contracts situated, our finances, because that's gonna make all of our lives easier. So first year, this is what it looks like.
And most importantly,
We're getting this in the past.
most importantly, it brings transparency. And we know someone else is also having a set of files for what's going on. So because he's the one who is presenting all the numbers to us, if he has a clarity about every penny, it's easy for him to
Right.
discuss that with the board.
Correct.
The last question. About $1,500. Can you explain on the $1,500, please?
Yes, so the $1,500, that's a threshold that we've come up with in the event of an act of God. It is solely for an act of God. So what is that? A hurricane, a lightning, hail, tornado, flood, anything of that nature, that is not controllable by any parties, any human. They have the ability to immediately spend $1,500 to fix,
Which
remediate.
would be mitigation initially, probably.
Yes, if stop.
Yeah.
much.
So even in that case also, there might be a quick note to the city manager, hey,
Sure.
there is something fallen, we're just letting you know, we are
I can add it.
awesome. Good. That's all about the.
Yeah, I
Good.
think that would be the shot heard around the world, that was getting the time, we were all pretty quickly.
And that's fine, and it is better to have it as a contract, again, mine doesn't necessarily have the same thing, but for clarity, I would always go to the district
Yes.
or the supervisor both typically, even when it's under my spend, a lot of times because they'll be just paranoid. It's basically saying, I need to make sure there's that transparency, we'll operate in the same way, so even if it's under 2,000 for me, I'll typically say, guys,
Yep.
is this, and sometimes Brian will say, yeah, I mean, I really feel like we can hold off on that until the board meeting, because I don't know that operationally it's, a certain thing, with the full turn agreement, that's completely different.
Correct.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, we'll certainly cooperate with the main partners as you guys want us, want us to make sure that obviously we feel good about it.
Additionally, that reduces the burden of audit, because if the CDD manager knows they could be tough here, if auditor comes or anything comes, we can kind of immediately take, hey, yeah, this $500 is for this one, I know it. So if he doesn't know, then like he needs to know first and then he goes to the audit. So it can it creates ambiguity sometimes. So,
No, you're.
No, it benefits our budget.
I mean, I remember when I would do that over, like you said, every month I could go down and I would know exactly what everything was for.
Yeah, the work that you're doing for your proposed budget, we're gonna have fun time.
Yeah, somebody.
Any other questions or thoughts on the agreement? I just want to make sure that everybody's operating within their legal protections and that we're protected, you guys are protected, they's protected.
They're doing a great job, they're keeping us in line.
and one last about the liability insurance. How much we requested for the liability insurance?
Give me 1 second and let me flip to that section.
The liability insurance for the cafe, I think it was like 142 for the year.
1 moment. There we go. Okay, a lot. So we have a liquor liability insurance of $1 million. We have commercial general liability of at least $1 million per location for single occurrence and $2 million in aggregate per location. Auto liability insurance of no less than $1 million. Umbrella liability insurance with limits not less than $2 million. Pollution insurance, with a limit not less than $1 million per single occurrence. Privacy liability insurance. Workers' compensation insurance, at the statutory levels. Crime insurance of at least $1 million
That's a
per
bond.
occurrence.
That's a bond,
Yes,
crime bond, right?
yes, and then employment insurance of at least $1 million per occurrence.
And it's a number.
Yes,
Sounds good, yeah, that, perfect. Umbrella is covered.
okay,
I
great.
like that, yeah.
All right, if there are no further questions, let's get a presentation from Greg. Greg, you ready?
Yeah.
Feeling good? Wow.
Y'all look at your books. I did send some, I'm pretty sure I can know everybody. This,
You did.
operation plan. But just going over some, certain things. The operating hours, I would like to go back to the 8 o'clock originally, Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, to be like a selected day, it goes to 9 o'clock. Not trying to go past 9, just like the first year, just to make sure like everything is in tune with things that nature before. Come back to that. With the operational priorities. We bring in mobile dining, online ordering. With, mobile dining, you will be able to scan a QR code or able to start a tab. So to start a tab, you order anything you want for the whole day. When you finish with that, say you can be able to, close out that tab when I need a server and things like that. But we'll still have service as well. So a server, each mobile order will be assigned to a server. And so that server will come up, and person will order, they'll see like a name on top of the check, or say like Sam or Susan or whoever like that, they didn't know that's their individual. Really server for that. So you don't have to wait for that server to get to them, if they need something right away and things of that nature, that server will get it direct from their code machine saying, hey, the banner wanted this order, this, and this. They have sat down, they would take that order and stuff like that, and they'll go over there and continue to order things of that nature. They'll do the hard part for them, so literally starting that tab, putting that first order and things of that nature, that's one rate for sure. So that will speed up the efficiency and things like that. We're gonna also have kiosks, kiosks. So anybody that's walking up to the cafe, they'll have a kiosk and they can actually put their order in. Everything, you'll have pictures, stuff like that, they can modify how they want to do it. And it will give them, You like, put in your phone number, it'll give them a prompt whenever you're ready, and they'll come pick it up. So no more pagers and things of that nature, it'll be all, technical. For the online ordering now, we also have a kiosk in here with menus. So people that doesn't pay like the menu fee and stuff like that, they just want to look at the menu, they'll be able to order right here, and it'll be delivered to them. Right
Their
there.
house, right here.
So right here,
Oh, here.
yeah.
So if somebody didn't pay the amenity fee and they want to order something from the cafe, then it's difficult now. They can just order from a kiosk, you know, just bring it to them.
It's really cool.
Yeah, the KDS would tell us where that location is, bring it right to them. I have the name and everything, so it's that nature. But the delivery now, the delivery is a little bit similar. That will be off of QR code on the website, which you can put on Solterra's website, or they can access that to Total, which is the app. They'll be able to find Cafe Soul on there, or they'll ask them their address, everything they need to know, stuff like that, and they'll take a tab for them. Once they order that food, it'll be sent to the kitchen, they'll prepare the food, everything is gonna make sure send it out to them, that's when they finalize that tab. So if they wanna add a tip or anything on that, when delivering, they can add that right in there with the toast machine and they'll finalize.
And that's to any address and numbers over.
Yes, they put it in the right hand, so they just have to put it in the right hand.
Can we, at some point, work on getting an update to the magnet in the house to include that?
A magnet?
Yeah, the HOA.
Yeah, that would be a feature, maybe somebody needs to lab that has the,
Yeah, like
QR code on the QR page to order right from that house's.
Yeah, you can do that.
Maybe we should redesign and kick it over, make sure
Uh-huh.
that approval their app and HOA's app and what we get.
Yeah, we'll send it over to the committee.
Yeah, because we had an HOA magnet that went out to the homes, that had all the key information and
Yeah.
stuff on it, and if we could add a QR code to that for the cafe, then it's kind of a all-in-one.
Can we review, can we just review the aesthetics of it? I don't know if that requires a board thing or, you know, I just want to make sure that it's on brand and it looks like everything else that we've got going on, the sign.
I would, that's sounds like a great HOA project. If we could delegate it to that and then we can just review what it looks like. Or review our information that's on it. I think, this isn't a district project, it sounds like this historically is done by the HOA. So we can coordinate with our general manager that we're supposed to have.
And Joe can figure it out and decides.
Yeah, previously, a supervisor would sometimes speak with like a representative of the HOA and they just have a general about what they think.
Yes, there just can't be there can't be any type of board decision made on behalf of the district.
We'll just need to know what that QR code, contain what that QR code is to take us to the website and maybe we can have that conversation in the near future.
Ultimately, it would be a decision by the HOA, but it can be informed in conjunction with it. And then we'll send it to you all, make sure it meets and take all on.
Brainstorming.
I love it.
And I love it too, collaboration.
That'll work.
All right, keep it cooking.
All right, so for January, that will be our trial month. So January is usually the matter. Restaurant. So what we'll do is that will be like a soft opening month. Depending on how we get the cafe, might can store everything in it, it's that nature, stuff like that, so that's gonna take time. Even cleaning and things of that nature. But for that first month, I wanted to do, like a grand opening, we'll get back in the day. I suggested the day, I think the 17th, hopefully we can get to that mark. But that'll be like a Saturday, we would do like a ring and tag, and all this good stuff, bring out vendors and things of that nature. Just to give it that really brand of the cafe, so people know it's limited. Here are and things of that nature. I talked to Granny Little. Granny Little is food that in culture and Bud Light, bring it out to 10 things you gotta get through. It goes from samples and stuff like that, and brand cooking there, so they're on board.
If we could just have them, if you could give me their information just to make sure we're making additional insurance, and if we need to have any type of agreement like that, just I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll got something for you, so you can talk to the rep there, and
Okay.
she'll let you know what they're planning to do with that nature.
Greg, what are we doing for marketing? Are we sending out HOA notices?
So we do have the email marketing plan in
Okay.
place as well, and we have the literacy program, the digital punch card. So most of that stuff is gonna be through the phone number, so like, when they come to check in and things like that, we just get their phone number, and just shoot that thing out to them as well.
I wonder if we could partner with the HOA to maybe like really blast this to the community, like Solterra Day, something like that, to drive some foot traffic.
So what I'm trying to do with our front step side is I'm trying to get things just one, what we currently have for HOA, and just have it specific for CDD, because obviously we'll be careful what's on the HOA side as well. Because again, like right now, if I send out e-text, or text stuff that's coming, and it's saying, well, this is the HOA, sure, it's actually for a cafe committee, and that's because it's written in the way. And that's come up several times, so I'm working with front steps and our IT team to try to just on it, once we do that, we can certainly, I can make it work in the meantime, but yeah, we can certainly.
Yeah, let's collaborate, Karen. You're now, handling the town halls. Let's talk about this. Let's really promote it. Let's uplifting. Supervisor Nealon and your committee updates, honorable mention, big event coming up. I would love to all hands on deck in terms of promotion to really try to get a reputation out there. All right, didn't want to go, please.
No, you're fine. So that's what we were doing in, January. February is more of like getting into season, so we want to bring some new stuff. February is a big, wellness and relaxation month. So we're starting, especially when we just, get over the gym. Bringing in like protein shakes, energy drinks, things of that, stuff like that. I guess to just, doing like yoga classes and things on the food end. But like people stuff, yeah, so I'm going to bring some shopping, get some early morning stuff and things of that nature, so that's my Saturday and Sunday.
Jason, any of those types of events are supposed to come before the board pursuant to our, policy, so if we could get a calendar of those, and then there's just those dates.
Yeah, that's all I
And then waiver, then people have to.
So these are just ideas.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
things of that nature, but
I just have to send my legal piece.
yeah. Yeah, but then you could pick and choose from which ones and things of that nature, but just give you like a center. But then February, we do, more heavily on the literacy, structure, we have to repeat business we're trying to get,
Okay.
especially with, the tenants that live here and the HOA. And now we'll be doing, a point system on solar, so I haven't created a report yet, but you get $10 off on your birthday, things of that nature. When you, use mobile dining or a delivery, you get 2 to 3 times more points and stuff like that. And that was telling you so you get free food and things of that nature. But, nothing on.
Yeah. Can't give away.
That's right, it's only applies to any stuff. But, just like smoothies, things of that nature, souvenir cups. It will be everywhere and things like that. So we'll be really focusing on that stuff. And then little samples and stuff for, in our cocktails and things of that nature. We will also be, doing happy hour as well, starting in February. That'll be like 2 to 5 Monday through Thursday, but that will just, I haven't done the specials and things like farm print and those things as well, but we'll just see what's moving and things of that nature. What's cost effective, making money, but getting that revenue during those times. After that, I said. March is more now would be for like for the open because of the spring break, to get that extra hour of evening and things of that nature. We can start focusing on, events and that nature. So I just, projected this simple thing and I can start in March 14th. We do, evening events and things of that nature, United stuff like that. So we'll be, putting in a pot so with the food item with those events that we think about, but not trying to go too much over and stuff, but everything is some fine detail here of things that we can. In your time, but that's just the first quarter of stuff. So when we get to March now, next CDD, and I will have the second quarter and third quarter stuff. that we have like a final base of what we're trying to do and things of that nature. So I just want to give you a quick flavor.
Are we jumping into this? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, good, good. Then I'm gonna find the only problem.
Yes, because I want to talk about that.
Fine. So are we increasing the number of hours? But the increase in the number of hours will take place?
So,
The
okay.
operational hours. we're
Yeah,
increasing
so like, we have,
operational hours.
Monday through Thursday, 11 to 8, and then, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 9.
Monday,
Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 8, and then,
Monday to Thursday,
Sunday through Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday, 11 to 9.
Monday to Thursday, for like 3 p.m.
11 to 8.
11.
And then 11 to 11.
And then, Friday,
Friday and Saturday, 11 to 9.
Saturday. The other thing, you mentioned about a KPI, right? When it comes to KPIs, like, there's no page number, so the marketing and promotions, right? If you go to that, you say that it's top seller, top 5 sellers, how are you managing? How are you planning to kind of manage the top 5 sellers? Do we have a,
So I told when you have it and it's down in sales category, and when it's bringing in, divide those numbers in between, they tell you whether your top 3, top 5 sellers for each category. So when I do my monthly reports, you will have that in your monthly reports, it'll tell you what's selling, what's not selling. Once I go over the month, I give it an extra second month to see if it increases, if it doesn't, I take it, when we are on the venue, and bring something else.
Like something else.
okay, how, I mean, like, so, we have a methodology where you want to test the customer, like, for example, as you said, in the first month, if they like a couple of items from the food and beverages, right? And then the next month, we see small tweak in a couple of items. How long do you want to wait before you make the changes?
You want to at least wait 30 days after that. So like, you don't go up to the first month because you might have a different crowd than the other crowd.
Correct. The clientele
So yeah,
changes.
so you want to give it 30 days to see if it fixes itself by itself. If not, you just win it out. So it's not taking it off the menu completely, it's just that you're not promoting it. So if they even suggested like, hey, I want grilled cheese. You have the ingredients in it, you can get the grilled cheese.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
The reason why I'm asking that is because it is a resort community.
right, and it's always changed.
Exactly, in the
Yeah.
taste buds students, for example, in one season, the set of people who are coming and eating, might like some items, the
Right.
next month or, 3 months down the line, you have a totally different set of people.
Right,
Might come back and ask them the same thing, which is gonna be kind of like,
right. And once
That's right.
once those ingredients, then you'll still be able to add those items. So it's not like, it just won't be heavily promoted.
As long as, in my point, as long as you have 3.75 or more, in terms of the ratings, at least always good to keep it, because you never know,
Right,
a couple of months of people can come back. If it goes beyond 3.5, I wouldn't, that's good.
exactly. And you gotta get it, it's your first year coming up. So then like, once you get that fair first year, synopsis, then you would know what works and.
That's right. Yes.
And then the next page, we said the staffing solution, right, with like KPIs. We said that ticket time reduction. How are you going to do that? Like, what is your plan?
So the ticket time, so the reductions is, how you do your menu. So at the end of the day, no one thinks to be saving you 15 minutes to make, because time is money. So at the end of the day, it's like, you want stuff that's quick, eatable, healthy, but it takes you 3 to 5 minutes to make. So like a pizza takes you 6 minutes to make from start to finish. So then a 20 to 30 minute delivery window is, if they were like, yeah.
Things like the pizzas, are they fresh made or frozen? Like,
That's not pizza, we're talking about pizza.
And here comes pizza.
that's just,
It's saying that so part of the answer to your question is that he's creating those self-order kiosks, so he's not using staff on the clock to take orders, but yes, pick up himself, so he's not those people focusing on preparing.
Yeah, that would be a human error, but at the same time, it's like, once I found out, it's like when somebody puts their own green, they tend to forget something. And what it is that they forgot their brother or sister or whatever, oh, and they come back and order again, they're ordering 3 more things. Because like, I like that, those things, I like this and that nature, so they're ordering. So once you go that route, it's like you're actually making more money because of the human factor of that all.
No, that's pretty
So, back to the pizzas first, I
Yes.
guess. Pizzas.
So the pizza is gonna be fresh built. What it is that how they bring it in is that we spread it out and then we have it, well, it's not quite fresh, but it's already made out, it is self-written. So like what it is that it comes in frozen, but it's thawed out. Once it's been,
Kind of like what you get at Publix when you buy the fresh dough at Publix.
no, if I did that, then it would take us long to make that. This one is past that preparation, but at the same time, it will make that one. You won't really taste the difference of it, but it's just that we don't have like areas to like.
Yeah.
You're from Northeast.
Yeah.
I can't. It's not full of it, but,
Yeah.
but I think that,
Going back to that, if I can kind of focus on.
Hold on. I'm not.
I think you finish that, so you get maybe the minutes, and let me finish. I have a few more items, and then you guys can get, go ahead and finish like that.
Let's finish with the KPIs.
Absolutely. So the ticket time reduction, going back to that, right, so, you get the, taking into consideration of which one taking long time and so they start, right? So if you want to reduce also the ingredients or like, the costing method as well as the labor, is that one tax component,
Right, so most of the stuff that reduces ticket times is that the prep will be done beforehand.
right?
So once before we open, like that prep will come in at 8 o'clock, not on that prep was to be done for the day.
Right.
And now it's down here to 7.
Right.
So that's gonna bring it down, the most of that time. Ticket time, everything there should be done under 5 to 6 minutes, where you get a ticket time from 10 to 20. From place where you order to place.
We basically provide, on the cost of methodology, so we can reduce that. So that is one of the KPI. So you're going to do it in the first one, the second one, but you're going to.
Yeah, for the first month, you got to develop the part, so that's why you just want to figure out, like, what you want to do on the you're ordering, like, how many cases of fries you have to bring in.
Right.
How many cases of pizza dough, things that nature. You're developing that part. Now, that part is going to change during the season, which you want to have your season that you might, instead of, 2 deliveries a week, you might have to go up to the multiple to 3 deliveries. This so you can keep fresh products and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, because if the season changes, right, and obviously.
So like right now, it's like I have it down to 2 deliveries a week.
Right.
Because I don't really need that first delivery until like March, April, when peak season.
Because if you pre-prep the items, if you're not selling enough, then it
Right.
gets,
So that, and that's how you develop those parts, so then we know that, so once we have that part in January, we know next January, we don't have to part because it was every time. Now, stuff could be like set for like 7 days, 10 days, it just depends on what items you use. So,
and then, the delivery satisfaction score, so in order to receive the delivery satisfaction score, you also have to appreciate the customers a little bit more. Example, it's not really easy to give the score unless you get pissed off, right?
right,
So that is not a great rating, but most of the time, we suffer that too. So we give like, hey, for example, like Uber, you send a picture, we'll give you $1 back or something like that.
Right.
So many appreciation metrics that we're enforcing to get that score.
right, so that's what we go back to the team program, on certain days, because when they deliver, they get over $100 and things like that. If we more often, might have to be back off. Which they can say like, you don't wanna have a goal that is not, reasonable. So like, I don't wanna say 30 minutes. Like, I can guarantee you have to complete 30 minutes. I might have a completely full food that makes that nature. I might only have one dollar to pay that food, and I'm still waiting for that person to come back into that nature. So it's all a little bit of progress in that time, but at the same time, it's like, you wanna, I could manage that by pressing certain things on delivery, that every time I'm consuming, that I can make that, win. Like, Like my sandwich only takes like 7, 8 minutes, but then a pizza takes 6. So I could, at the end of the day, I could probably put, before I could do 10 my sandwich, I could probably put out 20 pizzas before I put all the same time.
So I think if one of the, totally, you guys are doing it, I'm just like, how we incorporate it is that if by any chance, if we, even if it is 30 seconds, we always tell, we send a text them saying, hey, you're already like earlier than found. So
Right.
that kind of like, give me a satisfaction. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you like it, right? If they say, we won't even ask like, if you was 1 to 5, you like it, just say yes. Like, as an say, it is a, we automatically transfer that into 5 points.
Right. And with that, total what given them a fix about, because the minute the order's in, it will tell you that your order's in. The minute it's sold, when we sell it on that screen, it's on page, it's ready to be, leaving the cafe. So that when we put that time, like, you'll know, like, okay, it'll take us 10 minutes to get to that house from the cafe, so we don't calculate that time as well.
Sounds good. The last one. So that's the last one, I guess. The percentage of sales from mobile dining goal is 25%. So the another KPI. So can you elaborate on that, please?
So that's the growth of the revenue. So then you know how mobile down right now, but the mobile down, you should be getting 25% more additional revenue.
The last one is time goals. Again, I think that goes back to the previous one, right? This is the mobile dining and delivery. If you go to that.
Time will be good.
Yeah, time go, like you said, food dining 10 to 15 minutes. And delivery 20 to 30 minutes. Is there can you give me some elaborate on that, like how you come up with that, what is the logic behind?
Right. So that's going back to the time goals that's the time goals that I wanted to set by March. Okay, meaning that, of course, when you first start on this, you're not gonna have these time goals there, but you wanna adjust it and get it at that certain time. So the max of the time goal between 10 and 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, and something is wrong, that I'm not getting that order and things of that nature out against. So you gotta adjust your menu, or you gotta say, okay, because we have to prep this more, we have to batch this and that in that area to make that go. At the end of the day, because like time is money, like we gotta, like, nobody wants to wait 20-25 minutes. But it only takes you 6 minutes to do.
Okay, sounds good. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
That makes a lot of sense. I see what you're doing. I like the methodology. That's really cool. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Supervisor McCreary.
Okay, so first, Sam gets into the nitty gritty of it all.
And we need it.
And that kind of thing, and that's great because God knows I don't. But I get into the more sensory sort of things. And we need that too, because that's what drives people to buy from here. They're gonna buy our nachos instead of just opening up a bag of Doritos from the store because this is fresh and it has a whole different thing going on, right? So further to that, that's why I just want to make sure we had one of the competing bids, the chef came in very high level and all that other stuff, which quite frankly was maybe a little too far to the other end in terms of what makes sense for this resort. However, I would like to find some happy ground where the food that we're offering, as much as possible, is fresh. Even with nachos, something like that, right? We're making French fries, presumably in a fryer?
Yeah.
Okay, and so we have the fryers, we could make nacho chips the same way, like the basic thing could be, pre-prepped, but then just dump them in the fryer and then boom. I think that makes a difference to people when they're getting their chips and salsa. Wow, these are fresh, right? It's a whole different experience. And then the same thing with the pizzas, I have a proclivity towards something that's fresher rather than not. But of course, you will know better than I as to what we can and cannot do. I also like healthy options. There's some places in California, of course, that have broccoli pizzas where it's not the topping, it's actually the
Debate.
the base.
Right.
Instead of bread and flour, there's so many of us who can't or shouldn't have the flour and that kind of stuff. And it's really easy. It's just broccoli and parm in the grater. You'll know how to do this, I'm sure. And it's super easy to make. It's a little bit more laborious, right, than popping out a frozen,
Yeah.
but we charge for that. But if it's possible to have things like that.
Yeah, so you have nice things, right? You have things of that nature. Your fruits, if I can say, it's gonna be fresh, it's gonna be fresh. You're not gonna come out with bag and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, so you have to worry about things like that. Right? We'll be proud of it. But like, well, hopefully your options, like, you just gotta market to what you have here now, but at the same time, it will be available. But you still wanna make sure that you're not, it's still time for students to get that nature for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did talking about dietary restrictions and things. He is gonna make sure that there's gluten and kosher options on the menu.
Yeah, the kosher options, honestly, unless a rabbi comes in and koshers the restaurant, they're not gonna buy from you.
Yeah, but that's been like the hardest thing ever, is like, especially like Passover and things of that nature. They don't even cover and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they usually get like smoothies and stuff. And
Yeah,
that's.
certain things they're okay with, like vegetarian things they're okay with, because it's not meat, it's not dairy, it can cross over. And there are different levels of kosher requirements.
Yeah.
And anything that is kosher is halal, but anything that is halal is not necessarily kosher. But we have a number of residents in the community who are very familiar with kosher dietary rules and with the halal dietary rules. So I think it would be just a nice thing to do, a good gesture and smart to include them in some of these conversations. We have schooling, we have, I have one of our neighbors actually, they live in Michigan, but they have one of the top restaurants, halal restaurants in the country in Detroit. And they have their own meat. They do everything from scratch. So they would be a really good resource too. They'll be in town. They're in town now, today, they're arriving today. So I would love to introduce them as well. Just to make sure that, we're addressing everybody in the community and all of their needs. I'm all for fresh, healthy, and of course, profitable. So, which may or may not always, intersect, but listen. Thank you so much.
No, you're fine.
I'm so excited. I'm so great. This is amazing. Everything that you're doing is so exciting. And when I'm looking at the budget, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we've had, $5.62 in income every year for the last 3 years from our cafe. And we're looking at, in excess of, and these are conservative numbers, right?
Yeah, that's the numbers that you're aiming for and things that nature, like, I'm not wanting to spend like a little bit, if I spend a little bit, you're gonna make overtime income.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, you wanna spend wisely and things of that nature, but you
Yeah.
definitely wanna make a profit.
Yeah, so to start out, even if, I don't want to encourage you to make less, but I'm not trying to lower the bar, but, even if we make half of this, we're so far ahead of the game. And really, that's amazing. And this is going to be a learning year. So
Yeah,
understand that.
Taking your first ride on this 30 years.
Exactly.
Once you go through the year, and you got that budget for the following year, like, okay, this will be expected, this will be, things like that.
Right. Once you've got your feet wet in here and you get to know the clientele and who and what, And it also gives us a chance further to what Debbie was saying at the last meeting on the town hall.
Yeah.
Is it's really up to us too, as the homeowners. This is not all on you. This is on us too, as homeowners, and as board members and HOA, to really promote the heck out of your business. And to make sure, especially, we have so many issues at the gate of people coming in and out. If we can have less people at the gate who are delivering for Uber and other, all kinds of foods.
People leaving the resort to turn around and re-enter.
Right,
For
exactly.
food, we can think, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. These, these kids are in a hurry, they're young, or they're generally speaking, trying to make a buck, right? A fast buck. And so, yeah, they're not the best drivers. But, so, yes, please, and thank you, and we're here to support you. If there's something that you need from us as a board, as homeowners, please let us know. We're here to help you here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So excited.
And as I alluded in the cafe committee, for those that were on call and in the town hall, and, we've got a great leader in the cafe and great, but it's up to us as the amenities team and the CDD board to make sure that we're creating opportunities for people to come back here after peak hours to enjoy the clubhouse and to spend their money. So, we need to be thinking about, doing Monday night football and opening up the bar and putting the game on the TV so that people will sit here instead of going to Miller's Ale House and Chili's and other places, to come here and drink their beer and have their bar snacks, save people from being on the roads drinking and driving and, put a little bit of extra money in our pocket.
I got last question. Can I?
Yeah, please.
This is the projected numbers. I'm not holding you on that. Just a theoretical question. This is more over. You mentioned net profit is the 31.4%. From my experience and also my peers in my business acquaintances, usually the net profit for just a restaurant alone, typically it is about 3 to 10% net profit. That's a Florida average. I'm not taking national average. Taking Florida or local averages. If it's a BOS, it's like 10 to 15%. This seems to be a high growth. Do you have explanation for that?
Right, so you're looking at it. So you're looking at the projected ones, right?
Yeah.
Your net profit margin.
Yeah, so you gotta understand, this is without gas expenses, this is without your payroll. Now, with your payroll now, since you do automatic gratuity, that goes towards your wages. So you have to pay out this month of that too. So that you would actually be putting on that extra 20 to 30,000 on that expenses.
Right.
And just to clarify, they are running the operating costs, they are running the bills. We are responsible for the minimum fund balance.
I know.
But they're paying these bills, so when we say we, they mean they.
Yeah, I don't know. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That point is super crystal clear. I got. See the
Yeah,
number.
looking at the net profit.
This number. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking at Brian.
Yeah, this number seems somewhat.
Right, so you can't.
My own experience, somewhat like exuberant.
That's my experience.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, it's exuberant. The reason why I think, if it goes to the public, that anyone sees it here,
It-
board or like, it's just, wow, super amazing. That's not true.
And this is now public record.
Yeah, could you please let me revise that, because that cannot be possible.
I didn't mention any numbers, I didn't mention, yeah, but at the same time, that's projected, so at the end of the day.
No, I understand. Even the projection, usually like, as I said, like not to debate you, but we don't need to go back and forth with me, but generally speaking, the current projections are often, and 15% is you, if you run like spellingly great, so that is the highest number of the one restaurant. Net profit I'm talking about, not the other aspects. So you can keep it somewhat close to reality.
It's like, let me, you're listening to me, but you're not hearing. Is what you're right. And food and beverage, at the end of the day, when it comes to payroll, you can't guesstimate it, you can't have a certain answer. Because at the same time, you don't know what you're selling at. Especially when you're doing an automatic gratuity, that goes towards your wages, that goes towards your payroll and your payroll tax. So the only way I can do that, if I put everybody on a separate hourly, then I can give you the right number of what it's gonna be, because I know how much I'm gonna be paying that year. And I don't know if that's gonna come in and give somebody $100 tip one day, that things of that nature, that goes towards their wages. Now, for me not to do that, I have to pay them in cash end of the night, so that's not reported on our side. They have to report it on their taxes. Now, that's the wrong way of doing it, because the business, you have to, every dollar that you spend, you have to pay the taxes.
You have to account for that,
Right.
yes.
So we have to put it on our end, so that's why the numbers look like that, yes. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be 10 to 12, we're gonna end up being 10 to 12% margin of the net profits.
So if I may jump in to support Supervisor Nealon, I think what we're looking for is a more defined,
And yeah, and
forecast.
right, but you won't get that because of the automatic.
Well, go ahead. So what I'm saying is, we're presenting to the public, if I'm a resident, I'm saying, oh my gosh, the board just did a great thing, we're gonna see this much in return. So we're putting out some information that we might not be able to live up to. I think we should all work together and figure
Right, I
out.
have factored in what the gratuity competes and so far, and then adjust the numbers.
Let's get this closer to the margins that we see, between 5 and 10%.
But that's what our payroll can do.
Well, payroll's in here.
Right, but it's not the gratuity part of it.
The gratuity part of it.
Right.
Please don't know.
You wanna know that until you actually do those sales.
The okay, all right.
You see what I'm saying?
No. It's
Right.
Supervisor Nealon, it's just more of a projection. Let's get it a little closer to.
Not a slam to Europeans, but the Brits and the Europeans are famous for saying gratuity. So, we never know.
Yeah.
We don't know. That's a complete unknown, whereas other people may be overly generous. I'm typically a 30%. So, it's like one of those kinds of things. So there's no way that he could gauge that unless he knows the demographic of our guests, which he's not gonna know.
Just so the board is aware, pursuant to our agreement, there's two things that have to be submitted. So the first, within 30 days of the effective date, which is January 1, Artemis will provide owner with its management plan. And what the management plan is, the manager's plan for addressing the maintenance of the facilities, including but not limited to maintaining equipment and certain proper food handling sanitation procedures, and providing quarterly and coordinated services to the district. So managers plan for timely completion of operations audits, inventory, hiring, software programs, securing licenses, et cetera. So some of that was touched on today. They're also required to submit something that's called your annual plan. The annual plan, which includes the budget and the manager's request for revisions to and renewal of the agreement. So your annual plan is going to be your anticipated operating and marketing plan to be undertaken, the estimated rates and fees to be charged relative to the FMV facilities, an estimated operating and capital budget, including gross revenue, operating expenses, and planned capital expenditures. So if within 30 days of the effective date, so either at your January meetings or at your February meeting, these things will come before the board, and they're supposed to have a pretty great level of detail, and these have been great. I'm going to compare them to what's required in the agreement and say, okay, these were great, but we also need you to show X, Y, and Z. And then the board can take action on those reports formally after they're presented.
Yeah, I don't want to go back and forth. Greg seems very sensitive when to ask the question. We're not eating. I hear every word that comes on. Anyone here. You understand?
I understand.
No.
Yeah, let's keep it cordial.
Yeah, let's.
So you got to have that, like the maintenance, I don't say that you had I can hear you, but I'm still confused about it. I don't want to waste my time on this here, but I'm going to put questions to you.
But what I'm saying is that we have to payroll and
Definitely.
say, like, is there other expenses that is not?
No, it seems to have a lot of numbers here that don't act like, this is 900,000, this is total expense is 730, so like even when I'm looking
I
at
know.
stuff, I'm very.
I'm going to send you the questions to you, so you can relate to the
Gotcha.
question.
Okay, let's do that. Let's
Thank
do
you.
that.
Keep this cordial and, you know, I think we've had this discussion before, not I think we have many times. Nobody in this community wants to go back to how things once were with people being angry and nasty with each other. There's no need for it.
Listen, okay, no. Every time that I ask you a question, you guys are coming up. You are coming up in the middle. You understand? You are coming up in the middle. I don't want you to come up in the middle. When I'm asking questions, you can go back and record. What he said, you are not giving me. I hear every word he said. I'm just a candidate, 31.4.
Your behavior is out of
It is
order.
not really true number.
Your behavior is not in order. You stated what you had to say. There was an answer, whether it's agreeable to you or not. You don't have the right to be.
You are always come in the middle to obstruct the conversation. If I ask a question, a vendor, you get the time to ask the vendor a question.
You
I'm
have-
asking a question to the vendor, I don't have a clarification there, I'm having a follow-up questions on that. If you have a problem, you ask the vendor, hey, listen, I understand but you should not go against other board member. I am not going against you or any other board member here. My questions is completely relevant to the numbers, specific to what they have submitted. It is crystal clear. I am not asking you or any other board member here for any clarification because you are not running the cafe. They are running the cafe. The questions related to what has been submitted, these numbers are not accurate. That is what I'm saying.
And real quick in camaraderie, we're learning relationships. Greg, you know, this board operates in a very formal setting, so we just have to be mindful of that. Keep it very cordial, keep it very professional, as we grow in our relationship. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. I heard your comments, I heard his comments. I think we know what we need to do. Let's work with Greg to get these projections a little more accurate, and then we can continue to have this conversation. Let's keep it moving.
And Meredith on your questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's take a quick recess. If there are no other questions, all right, we're, everybody on record, we will be right back. Right, quick recess.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We are returning from recess at 1:09 p.m. Return at 1:09 p.m. All right, let's jump into general manager updates. We didn't get that portion.
Yeah, so for this part, we could just blow through pretty quickly here. Appreciate everybody being supportive of my time away for the holiday.
Yeah. Well deserved.
You're fine. Vacation, we'll have that time next year. So, yeah, just in terms of kind of the gross and net between every, between 2025 and 24 from this month, November 7th to December 4th. Yeah, pretty close. So 24 was $25,558.20 net. This year was $26,449.63. So definitely a bit of a downturn in terms of participation and people actually being here. We countered that by saving 175 hours staffing from the period between the last meeting and now, so it's a bit more than, or just a bit shy of obviously a month. That's about 3K in savings, and that also includes a few late nights that we stayed open. So we were able to save money, but still stay a bit late, try to help with some of those check-ins. And everything else, and that's with, of course, obviously, one of the check-in functions that we're working to do, which is the extra station. That's technically not in operation yet, because we're still working in the IT infrastructure part, so we haven't really done. So one of the things